Chapter 21. Crushing Battles, Sneak Attacking Behemoths, and Evaluation Tickets. Trigger features. Destroy. On the battlefield, when the first shell is fired into the group of monsters. The power of the shells has already begun to be highlighted. Boom. A monster was directly killed by the bomb, and then the bomb was triggered. Endless rays of light burst out from the bomb. Start with a small dot and gradually expand. Until a mask with a diameter of 10 meters is formed. All the monsters in it were vaporized in an instant. Like a bubble, whether it is the first order, second order, or third order. Without the slightest resistance, it was directly vaporized by the high temperature generated by the bomb. Boom. The mask finally burst, in an instant. Everything within a radius of 100 meters was swallowed up. When the light fades away, in the endless tide of beasts, a deep pit with a diameter of 100 meters appeared out of thin air. Like a crater. Seeing this scene, a faint smile appeared on Susie's face. As expected of a Tier 3P gunner, it's really powerful. I don't know what a Tier 4P will be like. Susie is full of expectations. The fourth level is a very important level. It is destined to bring an all-round enhancement to the P-arms. During the talk, countless shells fell, dazzling lights flickered, and then wave after wave of monster life was harvested mercilessly. When all the light is gone, Susie found out in astonishment. The ground outside the city wall was blasted to a depth of several meters. Countless potholes, large and small, seemed to have been severely ravaged. A breeze blows across the smoky battlefield. The fog is at this moment, what seems to be a moment of silence. Obviously, the monsters in the gray mist were also frightened by this exaggerated attack. Cannonballs wash the ground. So scary. Ultra-long range shooting, destroy. Two major features. The monster was tightly sealed at the edge of the fog, unable to take a step forward. Even if occasionally a fish slips through the net. And in a very short time, it was washed to pieces by the next wave of shells. It's like crushing. Susie put his hands in his pockets, with a faint smile on his lips. He knows. The monster in the mist must be very aggrieved. But so what? Who made himself so powerful? The range is so far. Cannonballs blocked the door. There's nothing he can do about it. Master, you are amazing. At this time, a crisp, sweet voice came from beside my ear. Susie's body trembled slightly, his ears felt hot and humid, and he turned his head to stare. I don't know when the little fairy came here. Master. The goblin stood beside Susie, looking at Susie with admiration in his eyes. In line with the face of the goblin that is all over the country and the city. It's a killer for men. What man could stand such a test? Don't do this in the future, do you hear me? Susie suppressed his shame and said viciously. He is also a man, facing a goblin with an overpowering appearance. It is no longer easy to endure. It's not that he doesn't like goblins. The little goblin's appearance is peerless, without the slightest blemish, and her childlike face is so beautiful that people can't put it down. The figure is slim and slender, and the voice is as clear and sweet as a warbler's cry. Like a girl walking out of the second dimension. All men like it, and Susie is no exception. But now is not the time. The monsters outside would attack from time to time, especially in danger. And she was only born one day, Susie didn't know her well. Take it directly. Couldn't Susie become a beast? Okay, I'll just listen to the master. Seeing that Susie was a little angry, the goblin pursed her mouth reluctantly, but still nodded. Although the master's words are duplicity, she still has to listen to the master's words. Who made him the master? Susie turned his head and looked at the gray mist again. Suddenly, he felt his left middle finger being pulled. Susie glanced at the little fairy from the corner of his eye. The goblin grinned, her eyes were curved like crescent moons, and a pair of cute dimples appeared on her cheeks. Susie sighed in his heart. What a naughty little fairy. This hand is so tender and smooth. Susie didn't look sideways, and played with the goblin's soft little hands in his hands. This hand is enough to rank in the top 3 hands Susie has played. The little fairy's face was pretty red, and she looked at Susie's handsome face tenderly. He kept silent and let his little hand Susie play. From birth, Susie is her master. It is also the master of all plants in the universe. For he is supreme. None of them. She could feel a strange aura about Susie. Make plants can't help but approach. Or worship. For Susie, the goblin is a peerless beauty with a fatal attraction. But for goblins, why not? The little fairy wanted to stick to Susie's body and rub the smell that made her addicted. Thinking about it, the goblin's eyes gradually blurred. Time passed minute by minute. The P-gunners poured fire without stopping. The roar of the bomb echoed in the air all the time, shaking people's eardrums with pain. But none of the monsters could come to Suzy from the bombed area. If it's just this kind of attack, it's no longer a threat to me. Suzy shook his head. Today's war is not as intense as yesterday's. This is a crushing situation without any suspense. He thought that the figure in the mist would bring him some surprises. Dull. Suzy smacked his mouth. At this moment, the ground shook under his feet, and the steel city wall trembled slightly. Suzy frowned. Next moment, roar. A fat figure comparable to a mountain suddenly jumped out of the ground below the city wall. The huge figure tens of meters high. The moment it appeared. Then it covered the entire sky, and the territory suddenly became dark. Only the monster's cold eyes exuded a faint light, like two little moons. His cold eyes fixed on Suzy. A ferocious giant palm suddenly patted Suzy. If hit, it's no surprise that Suzy will become a puddle of meat. The sky seems to be suppressed. Sound east and west, cover ears and steel bells, catch the thief first and catch the king. Countless idioms popped up in Suzy's mind instantly. Awesome. Monsters can also play Art of War. Master, be careful. The little goblin standing by was startled by the sudden monster. Seeing Suzy dazed, he was so anxious that he stretched out his hand to push Suzy out. Chapter 22. 10 stars Leonju, Suzy shows his power, flowers and evaluation tickets asked. But Suzy remained motionless. He took the little fairy's little hand and held her in his arms. Hey, it's okay. Suzy lowered his head and whispered in the little fairy's ear, exhaled a breath of hot air, and smiled. He raised his eyes again to look at the towering giant palm. Boom. As before, the towering giant hand was blocked by a light curtain 3 meters above Suzy's head. A ripple appears. The light curtain covering the entire territory appeared at this moment. The attack was easily blocked. At the same time, Suzy used identification on the monster. Earth Demon Dragon King. Race: Dragon. Quality: Purple Excellent. Level: 55. Bloodline: Demon Dragon Clan. Constitution: 37,000. Spirit: 20,000. Skills: Earth Dragon Breath, Dragon Power, Earth Dungeon, Earth Attribute Control, Demonization, Berserk Temporary. Introduction. The big boss among the monsters, a branch of the dragon blood, turned into a dragon because of his fall into darkness. I said what's wrong, so you're waiting for me here. Suzy's face remained unchanged, but the doubts in his heart had been resolved. According to the difficulty of 100 times, how could it be just a group of first-order and second-order monsters attacking yesterday? Completely inconsistent, 100 times more difficult. Tier 6 monster Earth Demon Dragon. As expected of a 6th-order monster, this height alone is enough to scare a group of people. Purple Excellent Quality. It seems that it is still a genius. Physique and spirit are broken. It is also worthy of 100 times the difficulty. And Suzy looked at it with familiar eyes. It should be the guy who showed his head in the mist yesterday. It is indeed very powerful, and the attributes are not bad even at the 6th level. Unfortunately, now Suzy's territory has been promoted to the 5th level. The 5th level World Tree Defense. Even if the gods come, they may not be able to break through. Not to mention a mere 6th order Earth Demon Dragon. Roar. Seeing that his attack was blocked inexplicably. The Earth Demon Dragon became enraged with embarrassment, and a terrifying murderous intent burst out of his eyes. He wanted to sneak into Suzy's territory from the ground and attack him. But who knows that there seems to be an inexplicable rule in the underground, even if he has the technique of Earth Escape, he can't move forward at all. No way. He had to attack from the front. Thought he could kill the Lord. But somehow he was stopped again. This made him furious. He is bound to be killed today, otherwise he will be ashamed to be the pride of the Demon Dragon clan. One palm won't work, then give me another palm. Without hesitation, the Earth Demon Dragon raised its sharp claws high and slammed it down. The air seems to condense under the giant palm. Boom. The giant palm weighing dozens of tons slammed into the barrier again, causing ripples. Too bad it's still useless. The barrier protects the territory tightly. Not a single gap. Amazing. The goblin hiding in Suzy's arms, with round purple eyes, looked at the transparent mask in surprise. It seemed to be shocked by its defensive power. Okay, get up. Suzy patted the little fairy's buttocks lightly. Oh, the little goblin pouted her nose reluctance, stuffed herself in Suzy's arms, and sniffed it fiercely. Then, as if satisfied, she stood beside Susie again. Susie. A bit perverted. Since you can't do it, it's my turn. Susie didn't care anymore. His eyes suddenly became sharp like knives. Come 100 cannons, give me a blast. Moment. 100 gunners all turned their targets to the Earth Demon Dragon. A look of disdain flashed in the Earth Demon Dragon's eyes. Some weak third-tier units also want to break through his defense. Just wishful thinking. Trigger feature. 10 stars. 100 cannons. Without hesitation, he spit out shells at the Earth Demon Dragon. These shells kept gathering in the air, forming a big net covering the top of the Earth Demon Dragon. Burst. The corner of Susie's mouth smiles. Next moment, it's like a chain reaction. The bombs were triggered one by one, and then the entire large net was connected in series. Boom. Hundreds of shells exploded densely. Even the sky can make a hole for him. Roar. The Earth Demon Dragon miscalculated and wailed in pain. Each of these shells was like a tickle to him. But hundreds of them are clamped together to form a cluster effect. Directly increased the power of the shell by 100 times. The dragon scale armor on his body, which was harder than meteorites, was wiped out in an instant. Just one attack. The Earth Demon Dragon was injured, bleeding profusely. The scales he was so proud of had already been scratched in just one encounter. Whoosh. A crossbow arrow exuding a cold light pierced the sky without knowing when. It has reached the left front of the Earth Demon Dragon. Puff. It is the weakest link in the body of the Earth Demon Dragon. The fifth-order crossbow bolts were fiercely inserted into its eyes. The Earth Demon Dragon wailed in pain instantly, and its huge body took a few steps back uncontrollably. It didn't expect Susie not to talk about martial arts, but to engage in sneak attacks. Violent. Skill trigger. The Earth Demon Dragon became berserk all of a sudden, spurting blood all over his body, and opened his bloody mouth wide open, aiming at the territory. Earth Dragon breathing. A beam of light with a thickness of several meters rushed towards the barrier with terrifying heat. Boom. The beam of light hit the screen, was reflected around, and sparks scattered around. The high temperature melted the land and turned it into pieces of crystallization. Roar. The Earth Demon Dragon let out an unwilling roar. Even in the berserk state, he still has a sliver of sanity left. Attack failed. The Earth Demon Dragon turned around and ran away without saying a word. His instinctive desire for life made him not want to die here. The Earth Demon Dragon is extremely fast. Almost in the blink of an eye, he was about to rush into the gray fog. There was a look of joy in his eyes. As long as you don't die, you can make a comeback sooner or later. At that time, if you don't believe it, you won't be able to break the tortoise shell of this human lord. Thinking, he also looked back at Susie, with naked hatred in his eyes. However, the next moment, he felt a tremor in his soul. If you want to run, how can it be so easy? The Earth Demon Dragon's escape somewhat surprised Susie. But it's okay. With a thought, each of the fifth-tier equipment was hung on Susie's body. Tier 5. Sun Hunting Bow, Strength plus 5000, Speed plus 2000. Level 5. Hui Archery, Accuracy plus 3000, Power plus 3000. Tier 5. Star Ring, Strength plus 2000, Spirit plus 2000. Tier 5. Jodian Star Robe, Physique plus 5000, Spirit plus 3000. Tier 5. Sun Moon Zijin Crown, Physical plus 4000, Spirit plus 6000. 4 pieces of legendary equipment are worn on the body, making Susie look like a mortal god. She was covered in golden light, and Susie looked calm. Bow. Pull the string. A red gold feather arrow exuding fiery flames condensed on the fingertips. Using Hui Archery, a huge projection condensed behind Susie, who was also holding a sun hunting bow that was magnified several times. Put your right hand lightly. The red gold feather arrow cut through the space and flew out like a red rainbow. The phantom behind Susie also burst out with arrows. The twin arrows merged into one in midair. In an instant, the flames on the arrow soared, and the flying speed increased again. Boom, boom, dot, boom. A series of 6 detonations exploded in the air. For a moment, it has appeared in front of the Earth Demon Dragon. 23rd. Battle Settlement, the terrifying 4 bombs and evaluation tickets. Whoosh. Red gold, arrows with red flames. Like piercing through paper, it pierced through the eyebrows of the Earth Demon Dragon. For a moment, the Earth Demon Dragon's pupils constricted, with unwillingness and resentment in their eyes. Boom! The huge flesh and blood body of the earth demon dragon fell heavily to the ground. Die before the mist. The big boss died. The rest of the monsters also ebbed away like the tide. The battle is over. Start settlement. A reminder popped up. The corners of Susie's mouth turned up slightly, feeling happy in his heart. The fourth wave of invasion is over. With a thought, the 4 pieces of legendary equipment turned into light spots and returned to the equipment column. Master, you were so handsome just now. The goblin at the side had gold stars in his eyes, and looked at Susie adoringly. Just now Susie was wearing Jodian's star robe and sun moon purple gold crown. Hanging star ring on finger, holding sun hunting bow in hand. It's like the emperor of heaven coming to the dust. Handsome mess. The little goblin has a small heart, beating wildly because of being fascinated. Master is too strong. I don't know if her small body can hold her up. It's okay, the earth demon dragon is too weak. As Susie said, he stretched out his hand and pinched the little goblin's blushing face. Ha ha smile, feel good. He didn't lie. The 5th Order territory originally gave him the strength of the 5th Order. Compared with the 6th Order Earth Demon Dragon, its strength is weaker. But don't forget, his territory is 100 times that of ordinary territories. The strength is naturally 100 times that of the 5th level. It can be said, Susie doesn't even know where his limit is now. 7th Order, 8th Order, Susie has never fought before, so he is not sure. But a 6th Order Earth Dragon, Susie can easily crush it to death on the ground. Therefore, the biggest mistake of the Earth Demon Dragon was not World Tree's World Asylum. But he, or the will of the other world. She doesn't know Susie's strength at all. Plus 4 pieces, 5-tier legendary equipment superimposed. Give Susie a bonus of tens of thousands of points. Let alone 1, there are hundreds of Earth Demon Dragons. Susie can also reteach them to be monsters. The reason why a lord is called a lord is not just because of the strength of his arms and the invincibility of the lord himself. Lords of the same rank are invincible. 1. The lord can continuously use the power of any arms in the territory. The second, as long as the core of the territory is not destroyed, only the source crystals need to be consumed. The lord can continue to be resurrected from the territory. This is also one of the reasons why the Blue Star human race can become the overlord race of the Universe C. It is recorded in the history books. A high-ranking lord relied on the ability of continuous resurrection and used various means to die more than 3,000 times. In the end, I forced one. The middle thousand world with several gods is gone. In the end, he succeeded in receiving that world, and became an existence comparable to a middle god. It can be called a model of a lord defeating the strong with the weak, and it is recorded in textbooks. The battle has just ended. The brilliant light of evolution appeared on the 2nd level P Gatling and the 3rd level P Gunner. The light fades. 1200 P Gatling were all upgraded to the 3rd level P Gunner without any accident. At the same time, the evolution of P Gunner has also been completed. Susie looked forward. Soon, the light of evolution dissipated. Doo-doo, doo-doo. Each giant P, doo-doo, made a happy cry. So big. A hint of shock flashed in Susie's eyes. The overall appearance of the P Gunner who has entered the 4th level has not changed much. But the shape has changed amazingly. The green body is 4 or 5 meters high, and the gun barrel is 3 meters long and more than 1 meter wide. Even firing missiles is enough. Susie view panel. Name, P Cannon. Race, plant. Level, 37,0370th. Physique, 8,000. Agility, 1,000. Spirit, 7,000. Skills, Annihilation Bomb, Cloud Explosion Bomb, Thermobaric Bomb, Neutron Bomb. Attack range, 10,000 meters. Rate of fire, 5s. Loyalty, 100% permanent. Introduction. Evolved from P Gunner, 4 kinds of bombs bring you the enjoyment of flying. Hiss. The attack range has reached 10,000 meters, and the rate of fire is even exaggerated at 5 rounds per second. Susie was amazed. This is simply the mechanical system of the plant version. Susie looked at the 4 different types of bombs again. Destroyer bomb. Tonnage, 37 tons. Attack range, 200 plus meters. Attack effect, destroys all objects and creatures. Introduction. A gift from oblivion. Cloud bomb. Tonnage, 37 tons. Attack range, 1,000 plus meters. Attack effect, generate a high temperature of 2,500 degrees and create a vacuum environment of 1,000 meters. Introduction. Squeeze life's throat and prevent him from breathing. Thermobaric bomb. Tonnage. 37 tons. Attack range. 1,000 plus meters. Attack effect. Create a 500-ton high-pressure vacuum environment. Introduction. Ever feel gravity? Let you enjoy playing once. Neutron bomb. Tonnage. 37 tons. Attack range. 50,000 plus meters. Attack effect. Only kills, not destroys. Introduction. Nuclear strike. Green and pollution-free. It's simply the most terrifying murder weapon. Suzy is silent. Unimaginable. What terrible devastation such a weapon would cause when used on the battlefield. This is also why many people do not want to be on the battlefield. The reason for the confrontation between mechanical units. Except for very few arms systems that have protection. Other arms could not resist the indiscriminate bombing of bombs. But, from now on, the plant department will also become the overlord of the battlefield. Chapter 24. Amazing rewards, unscrupulous treasure chests asking for flowers and evaluation tickets. Outside the city walls, treasure boxes gradually condensed from the ground one by one. The most common ones are ordinary treasure chests. Of course, there is also a green treasure chest or even a blue treasure chest from time to time. Certainly, what attracted Suzy the most was the condensed purple treasure chest on the edge of the gray fog. This is the first time Suzy has seen a treasure chest of the excellence level. I don't know what to get out. When the treasure chest was condensed, Suzy waved his hand. All chests are gone in a flash and go into Suzy's inventory. After becoming Suzy's hero, the little goblin already understood the relevant information, so it's not surprising. Come on, let's go down and open the treasure chest. Suzy rubbed the goblin's smooth red hair and walked down the city wall. It is good. The goblin nodded obediently and followed behind Suzy. Sitting under the world tree, Suzy casually threw hundreds of treasure chests for the goblin to play with. He himself opened the settlement panel. The fourth round of invasion is over. Start settlement, war settlement, enemies, 10,000 first level green goblins, 10,000 second level bull devils, 10,000 second level ghost axemen, 10,000 black widows, 6,000 third level double-headed lizards, and 1/6 level earth magic dragon. The result of the war, big victory. Evaluation, SSS level. Reward, 5,000 source crystals, 500 source points. Due to 100 times the difficulty and 1,000 times the reward, recalculate. Evaluation, SSS plus. Reward, 2 million source crystals, 200,000 source points. Fish Pond Legendary, Spiritual Seed X 200, Ray Tower Legendary, Soldier Token Legendary, Starlight Boots Legendary, 9 Treasure Glazed Belt Legendary. Big explosion. Suzy's eyes lit up when he saw the reward. 2 million source crystals, 200,000 source points, double the rewards of the third wave. 2 buildings, 1 unit token, and 2 pieces of equipment are all at the legendary level. 2 of the pieces of equipment should be the same as the previous ones, and now they are basically complete. It's not bad to get a Thunder Tower again, which is a defensive tower. Soldier Token, I don't know if it's a plant type this time. Spirit Seed, what the hell? Suzy looked at the rewards one by one, with a smile on his face. This time, the Earth Demon Dragon is worth it. Unprecedented rewards. Sure enough, the greater the risk, the greater the reward. No wonder there are ordinary family students. You can change your fate against the sky by relying on the trial of newcomers. As long as you dare to fight hard, plus luck, maybe you can really get top quality buildings or equipment in the 7 trials and assessments. It's even possible to get high quality heroes and units. Of course it can't be compared with Suzy. Because he is a coward. He has long left other peers far behind. The history of nearly 10,000 years disclosed by the Shengxia Empire several times. Suzy has never heard of someone who can raise the territory to the 5th level in the 7-day trial. Certainly, the Shengxia Empire, the Eastern Alliance, the Western Alliance, and the entire Terran Alliance. Too big. No one can say that there are any evildoers hiding in it. All Suzy can do is try to take this opportunity to become stronger. Accumulate more capital for the future. After today, there will be 3 more days. Suzy took a deep breath, cherishing the last 3 days. Master, I ordered a piece of equipment. The goblin excitedly stood up and handed a piece of equipment to Suzy. Oh, what is it? Suzy took a look. White silk. Quality. Green. Rating. 1/0. Function. Self-recovery, self-cleaning. Introduction. The white silk is forever, and one piece will be handed down forever. Suzy, can you open this treasure chest? Suzy was puzzled. Why didn't he open it like this before, or the treasure chest still depends on the person. Master, what is this? The little goblin squatted in front of Suzy, raised her chin with her hands, and looked curiously at the white equipment in Suzy's hands. It feels pretty good. Well, this is called Bicey. Girls will look good in it. I'll give it to you. Remember to wear it on your legs tomorrow. Suzy said, and handed it to the goblin again. Little fairy plus white silk equals. Long live the white silk party. Hey, master, I opened another one, but this one is black. Just turning around, the goblin handed Suzy a piece of equipment again. Black silk. Quality. Green. Rating. 1/10. Function. Tear resistant. Self-cleaning. Introduction. It's completely incomprehensible. Suzy held the black silk in his hand and rubbed it gently with his fingers. Very silky. I don't know what it feels like to touch my dear teacher Lu wearing it. Lu Ruyan plus black silk equals leather whip. Hiss, a little cruel. Suzy shook his head, and deleted the picture in his mind. Remember to change these 2 stockings every day. Suzy warned that if she couldn't see Sister Lu wearing it, she had to wear it for the little fairy. Thank you, master. The goblin smiled slightly and took it happily. This is the first gift Suzy gave her. She will remember forever. Okay, I'll do the rest. Suzy waved his hand towards the goblin. Don't dare to let her go on. Otherwise, I really don't know what to open. The little fairy nodded obediently. Stand aside and study how to wear stockings. Next moment, Suzy waved. Tens of thousands of treasure chests fell on the open space and piled up into mountains. Open. Like a heavenly mirror, the treasure chests burst out with rays of light. Acquired. 1 source crystal. Acquired. 2 source crystals. Obtained. 10 source crystals. 5 source points. Acquire. Building arrow tower blue. Obtain. Skill book away 18 styles. Obtain. Equip storage ring blue. Total. 100,000 source crystals, 20,000 source points, building arrow tower x3, skill book away 18 styles, and equipment storage ring. A pile of source crystals spilled onto the grass, forming a small hill. Suzy is all included in the inventory. The 3 buildings arrow tower are all of blue quality, and Suzy doesn't plan to put them in the territory either. Now, Suzy's vision has also become extremely high. For ordinary buildings, they are destined to have limited growth in the future. It's not worth spending source crystals to upgrade them. With a wave of his hand, he disappeared from the spot. Suzy looked at the last 2. 1 skill book, 1 piece of equipment. I hope this away 18 forms can be more serious. Suzy prayed silently, and clicked on the introduction. Chapter 25. Away's 18 styles, key in building and evaluation tickets. Away 18 styles. Type. Skill book. Quality. Blue. Content. Avalokitesvara sits. Introduction. 18 kinds of martial arts, proficient in all of them. Sure enough, you shouldn't expect anything from it. Suzy shook his head, not intending to keep it, but to use it directly. The blue skill book turned into a stream of light and entered Suzy's forehead. Next moment, there are 2 villains in my mind. Vividly interpret the details for Suzy's on-site teaching. Let Suzy see with excitement. Tisk tisk, useful knowledge has increased again, I wonder if my sister will like it. Suzy imagined for a while. Mostly, the mouth is not willing. But if Suzy is willing to give up half of his face. Sprinkling and rolling, glib. Probably also possible. Teacher Lu always likes to say things that are not what he means. Every time I always say no, my body is very honest. For example, last time he was with a girl in the grove, singing to wine. Before it started, he was carried away. Reason: those under 18 are not allowed to drink alcohol. Occasionally, I came home late and did not report, so I broke into his house in the name of the teacher caring about the students. The list goes on and on. Storage ring. Quality. Blue. Function. Storage. Space size. 100 x 100 meters. Introduction. A space ring for storing items. Space ring. Suzy took a look, then threw it to the goblin. In this era of lords, the most useless thing is the space ring. Has inventory. How can there be room for storage of such things? After opening the treasure chest, the old rules, it's time to upgrade the territory. Suzy stood up and stretched. Click on the Lord interface. You consume 46,000 source crystals, 4,600 source points, and your territory has been upgraded to level 46. You consume 50,000 source crystals and 5,000 source points, and your territory is upgraded to level 50. Congratulations, your territory has reached the 6th level. Suzy once again spent the source points, but this time only raised the territory to level 54. If you want to upgrade again, the source point is not enough. The territory had just been upgraded, and the entire territory shook slightly. At the same time, Suzy's body is shining with golden light. An astonishing aura surged out from Suzy's body, stirring up a whirlwind, and directly pushed the little goblin several meters away. Owner. The goblin was a little panicked, not knowing what happened, and looked at Suzy worriedly. It's okay, I've upgraded a level. Suzy waved his hand to explain. The light dissipated. The soaring aura was taken back into Suzy's body. Once again the boy next door. Suzy. Go, accompany me to release the building. Okay, master. Suzy waved at the goblin. The little fairy took small steps and quickly came to Suzy, holding his hand and shaking it. After the 4th campaign is resolved, Suzy gets 2 buildings. Suzy took them out, and 2 buildings appeared in his hand. Leda, Fish Pond. The first is the legendary Lei Tower, a defensive building. Reda, quality, legend, rating, 1/0/10. Function, Thunder Judgment level 1. Attack radius, 100. Introduction, Thunder Punishment, Judgment, Suzy directly arranged Leda in the southwest corner of the territory. Throw it away, and the building will rise in the wind. In the southwest corner of the territory, a 10-meter-high building was built. It is a prismatic spar shining with purple gold lightning. Suzy regards it as the other buildings. Upgrade to Tier 6. So far, the 4 major defensive buildings in the territory are assembled, the 3 legends, and 1 blue. But even if there are better quality defensive towers in the future, he does not intend to replace the Blue Arrow Tower. With World Asylum and powerful arms. For Suzy, architecture can only be icing on the cake, not a timely gift. Fish Pond. Type, Air Transportation. Quality, Legend. Rating, 1/0/10. Function, fishing in the cosmic sea, turning goldfish into a miracle. Frequency, 1 time per day. Introduction, use the source crystal as bait to fish in the pond. The fish in it come from the cosmic sea, and when caught, it can be turned into a prototype. Seeing the information about Fish Pond, Suzy's eyes lit up. This is another resource building. Unexpectedly, it was a luck-type building. Air transport buildings. It is similar to Fish Pond, casino, game field, lottery, etc. A building of a gambling nature. By fishing, gambling, playing games. Get items from Cosmic Sea. In the blog class, the teacher once talked about the case. A lord was so lucky that he caught a big goldfish from Fishing Master, and after catching it, it turned into a legendary building. Go directly to the pinnacle of life overnight. But there are also people who belong to non-chieftains, and they lose all their property, but in the end they lose everything. After countless years of research, Heian-type buildings have already been thoroughly studied. One of the most popular ways to play is to open a casino. And the Lord only needs to collect the source crystal, and he can earn a lot of money. Do not doubt, there is no shortage of gamblers in any world. Or, in the world of lords, there will only be more people who want to get rich. And Suzy's Heian building pond. It is also the top quality among air transportation buildings. If Suzy rents out this pond, I don't know how many people will flock to it. There used to be a lord in Qinghai City. Possess a blue quality luck building scratch. Suzy embraced the idea of getting rich overnight. I've been there to test my luck. Pity. Smelly hands. Lost a full 10 source crystals. Except for a few worthless toys scraped out, there was nothing. The angry Suzy swore that he would never touch luck-like buildings again. But he got a lucky building, which is still the top. Fishing. Just once. Suzy admitted that he was a little itchy. Fish Pond. Type, Air Transportation. Quality, Legend. Grade, 59. Function, fishing in the cosmic sea, turning goldfish into a miracle. Times, 59 times per day. Introduction, cherish life and stay away from gambling and drugs. At the same time, in the dog leader in Guanan Mountain not far away. Damn it, why is it another plant type unit? Chapter 26. In their respective fields, a great battle unseen in tens of millions of years, seeking flowers and evaluation votes. Damn it, why is it another plant type unit? In Guananshan's dog leader, Guananshan is holding a troop token and said angrily. Take a closer look, and there are two large characters engraved on the badge of the unit. Thorny Vine. Your kobold loyalty is reduced by 10%. Your kobold loyalty is reduced by 10%. Your kobold loyalty is reduced by 10%. A series of reminders made Guanan's head sweat profusely, and he raised his head to look at the place where the kobolds gathered. All the kobolds looked at him unhappily, and even a few were whispering, looking into his eyes from time to time, with malicious intentions. Look at my mouth. Guananshan slapped his mouth hard, wanting to cry but no tears. It was hard to raise the loyalty, but now it has fallen again. For 4 days, he worked hard to pass the trial again and again. Now that he has fulfilled his wish, he has been promoted to a second-tier lord, and even the third-tier lord is not too far away. He has 30 first-tier kobolds, 10 second-tier kobolds, and even 2 kobold mages. The army is not weak. Guananshan has even made plans that after 7 days, he will participate in the hegemony competition. Somewhere in the western regions. Roar. Dozens of giant dragons of various colors flying in the air wantonly hunt and kill the invading green-skinned monsters. The name of this place is Yulongling. Standing on the city wall of the building, Qin Yi looked proud, with an ambition to despise everything in his eyes. Him, Qin Yi, the only son of the Qin family in Qinghai City. Awaken the top genius of the Purple Excellence level template. The arms are even more carefully selected sub-dragon species, which are even comparable to giant dragons. Doomed to be extraordinary from birth. The battle is over. Start settlement. As the last tier 2 monster was swallowed by the giant dragon, a reminder sounded in his ears. A smile appeared on Qin Yi's face, and he looked up at the sky, and a set of information appeared in front of him. Cloud Yaran. Race. Yulong. Quality. Purple. Grade. 27. Constitution. 200. Agility. 250. Spirit. 150. Skills. Dragon Breath. Dragon Soaring Strike. Dragon Might. Introduction. A dragon species inherited from the sky dragon, it flies extremely fast. That's right, his arms, like his territory, have entered the 3rd tier. Qin Yi is confident because he has enough strength. After this settlement, he has the hope of stepping into tier 4 and obtaining tier 4 sub-dragon arms. His strength will also undergo an earth-shaking change. After 7 days of trials, his territory is even enough to hit the 5th level. In previous years, this will definitely be on the Tianzhou list. You might even have a chance to be in the top 10. He will become the pride of Qingyun High School, and will become the second god of the Qin family in the future. His future is destined to be brilliant, and he will climb to the top of the cloud. It's a pity that I gave you a chance, but I don't know how rare it is. Qin Yi looked at the 3rd-tier purple city wall under his feet, and shook his head. It's just a legendary building, nothing serious. But for the commoner of the plant department, what was lost was a precious opportunity to get in touch with him. It's short-sighted after all. Qin Yi said no more. Thinking about it, that person must have been eliminated, and he doesn't need to remember an ordinary person. The gap between them is destined to be the difference between clouds and mud. The Southern Territory. Elf Collar. Xiao Wanqing floated in midair with a cold expression, looking down at the elves cleaning up the corpses of monsters below. After 4 trials and assessments, she successfully entered the 4th level, from a rookie lord to an official lord. The strength has undergone earth-shaking changes. She looked up at the sky with a hint of nostalgia in her expression. Plant department, I think he has already been eliminated. Xiao Wanqing thought of the handsome man who kept pressing her head before she woke up, and felt a little regretful in her heart. Originally, she still had a slight affection for him. Pity, he only awakened the plant department. In this trial whose difficulty has almost doubled. How can a plant type with no attack power survive until the end of the trial? I'm afraid we won't have the chance to meet again in the future. As Xiao Wanqing thought about it, her expression became colder and colder. Apart from her mother and sister, there were not many things worthy of her attention in the world. Her only ambition in this life is to become a god. The outside world, Qingyun High School. An emergency meeting was called impromptu. In front of the round table, all the teachers were present. Principal, what's the rush? A teacher asked curiously. The middle-aged headmaster pondered and sighed. There may be an accident in the trial. What accident? All the teachers present frowned. Why are there so many accidents this year? The middle-aged headmaster said slowly. Students who have returned have reported that Zerg and demon races appeared during the trial. What? Zerg and demons? Hearing this, all the teachers were shocked. Those are the two most ferocious races in the cosmic sea. How do they know about the trial world? Could it be that there are traitors here? A teacher stood up and asked. The principal shook his head. No, it seems that our Lord Vermilion Bird put it in on purpose. How could there be a traitor? In the case of the individual's mighty power belonging to himself, there are special people in all parts of the human race to be responsible. No one can escape the deduction of the gods. Hearing this, many teachers were even more puzzled. In order to increase the difficulty of the trial, our Lord of Vermilion Bird has reached an agreement with the two tribes. Each tribe will send its elites to participate in the trial. Speaking of this, the headmaster paused and continued. At the same time, after the 7-day trial, with the trial world of Vermilion Bird as the core, hundreds of worlds will merge and start a big battle involving hundreds of territories. This battle will not only involve the human race, but also thousands of races in the universe. This will be a once-in-a-million-year battle. After the principal finished speaking, the entire conference room fell into silence, shocked by the news. What's the purpose? Why do you suddenly start a big battle? Isn't this kind of war for the younger generation not easy to start? Once the great battle breaks out, countless lords will die. The price will be too high. The middle-aged principal was silent for a moment, then said slowly. The human race Jontian Pavilion noticed that the human race's energy was in motion, and there will be a supreme being born in our generation. For the supreme birth of the human race, starting from this period of the Lord trial, there will be a great battle every year for the next 100 years, or even thousands of years. This matter is decided by the Supreme, and passed by the Imperial Parliament. Everyone was silent again. Things that have been decided by the Supreme will not change. It's just that this news was too surprising for them. O Most High, in order to give birth to a Supreme, no matter how many lords are sacrificed, it is worthwhile. This is the world of lords, but there is no democracy at all. Everything is based on the righteousness of the human race. And the highest is righteousness. The foreign race will definitely stop the human race from growing up, so they know the human race's plan. They are still willing to participate in the trial of the human lord. What if the Supreme who has not yet grown up is killed? Then they can make a lot of money. The highest is never a fixed number, and no one is sure which will achieve the highest. In other words, in this era, everyone may achieve the highest in the future. The only way is to kill. Killing all the new generation lords of the human race, wouldn't that prevent the birth of the Supreme? So, the big battle is destined to shed blood like rivers. All teachers are silent, in this turbulent era. They are just little people who can't become gods. Lu Ruyan, who was sitting by the side, looked calm and indifferent like water. Anyway, she didn't have a good life for a few years. Great battle, Supreme or something. Whatever happens to her, she's already messed up. After 2 days Susie came out. She took Susie to find a quiet little world. After a few years of peaceful and stable world of 2 people. Then leave Susie a fortune. I'm afraid he will die of joy when the time comes. Eliminate. I just gave it for nothing. Heartless stinky brother. But we must persist for 7 days. Otherwise, if I let you touch it, you wouldn't dare to touch it. Chapter 27. Air Force Boss, Goblin Talent and Evaluation Votes. Plant Collar. Susie doesn't know or care about the outside world. Go to her mother's dead fish pond. Sue angrily kept the fishing rod beside him and stood up. Seeing Susie's furious look, the little fairy couldn't help covering her mouth and chuckling twice. Susie cast her a glance. The goblin immediately closed Cherry's mouth and winked playfully. Seeing the little goblin's playful look, Susie sighed, and looked down at the empty side. For a full hour, not a single fish was hooked. Looking at the little goblin again, there are almost no more items next to it, and there are even some top-level items among them. Goji berry seeds. Race. Elixir. Quality. Purple. Grade 1. Maturity period. 5 years. Function. Nourishing liver and kidney, benefiting energy and improving eyesight, specially treating liver and kidney yin deficiency. Introduction. 1 cup in the morning and evening, good news for middle-aged men. Dragon tooth rice. Race. Lingzi. Quality, purple. Grade 1. Maturity period, 1 year. Function, strengthen body, prolong life, unique taste. Introduction. One of the rare treasures in the world, watered by dragon blood, the quantity is extremely rare. Without comparison, there is no harm. Suzy is helpless, but these seeds are good things. Suzy waved his hand and took them all away. Master, wait for me. Seeing that Suzy was about to leave, the goblin put down his fishing rod and hurriedly followed. Master, why are we going? The little fairy put her arms around Suzy's arm, tilted her head and asked in doubt. Suzy felt the warmth in his arms, and was silent for a moment. After all, it is still regarded as not knowing. Open-minded goblin. Go plant something. Suzy responded with a smile. World tree features. All territories are spirit soil. This makes Suzy at this time. It has a full 60,000 square meters of spiritual land. It was extravagant to the extreme. Possessing so much spiritual soil, Suzy will go out even after the 7-day trial. Being a plantation tycoon is enough. Unfortunately, Suzeji is not here. And, plant spiritual plants, need special people to take care of. Other types of lords can also have units working for them. But Suzy's arms here are plants. Except for Suzy, there is only the goblin in the whole territory. It is impossible to grow spiritual plants on a large scale. This also resulted in a large number of idle fields, which was also a loss for Suzy. But Suzy is not worried. After the 7-day assessment is over, then he can recruit some subordinate races in the different world. Let them help manage the territory. At that time, the territory can be better developed. Planting spiritual plants. The little fairy's eyes lit up when she heard the words, and she smiled confidently at Suzy. Master, I can help you. She is a flower fairy, and she is naturally close to plants, so she is very suitable for planting various spiritual things. Hearing this, Suzy remembered to use identification on the goblin. Flower fairy. Type, hero. Race, flower fairy. Quality, legend. Level, 6/3/10. Constitution, 15. Agility, 30. Spirit, 18. Skills, catalysis, green light. Introduction. I'm just a weak assistant. Suzy has seen the information of the little fairy before, knowing that it is a hero of the small support type. But this hero is kind of useless. Suzy's units don't need any support. So Suzy regards her as a pistachio. It wasn't until now that the little fairy was talking about it that he thought of taking a look at her skills. Catalytic. Quality. Legend. Function. To give birth to plants. Rating. 1/0/10. Introduction. I'm not trying to backfire. Green light. Quality. Legend. Rating. 1/0/10. Function. Quality plus 50%. Introduction. Maybe it can evolve just by following it. It turns out that the skill point is crooked. It seems that you are quite useful. Suzy nodded. Yes, I am very useful. The little goblin nodded repeatedly. Finally found a place where I can use my strengths. It's not easy. Suzy stretched out his hand, a light flashed in his hand, and a spirit seed appeared in his hand. Yam species. Quality. Normal. Grade 1. Maturity period. 1 year. Function. Promote digestion, remove internal heat. Introduction. An ordinary yam. It's just ordinary quality. The quality is average, but I have talent. Suzy doesn't care about its quality. Use the talent alienation on the yam seeds. The yam seeds emit a bright light. Purple Shanji. Quality. Purple. Grade 1. Year. 1. Maturity. 10 years. Function. Increase cultivation base. Can help to break through the first order. Introduction. Cultivation is not as fast as taking drugs. Ordinary quality. Directly turned into an elixir of excellence. Suzy couldn't help admiring. This talent is simply amazing. Not only alienated arms, but also alienated all plants. Suzy looked at the 60,000 square meter Lingtian. I thought in my heart that sooner or later they would all be planted with spiritual plants. Master, leave it to me, pleaded the goblin. Suzy nodded, and handed the purple Shanji seed to the goblin. I saw the little goblin holding it in his hand. A green light envelops the seed. Soon, the seed sprouted directly. Hiss. Suzy was pleasantly surprised. This ability of the goblin is very practical, and it will be very useful when her level is raised. Call. The little goblin exhaled hot air, and a smear of sweat appeared on her forehead. Obviously, the Catalysis consumed her a lot. Okay, no need to catalyze. Suzy stopped the goblin who wanted to continue using his skills, and shook his head. There's no need to ripen it all at once, the territory itself can shorten the maturity period of the elixir. Now the territory does not have so much demand for these elixir. I listened to the master. The goblin is very happy with Suzy's concern. Time flies. The fourth day, night, after having a delicious dinner at Fan Lu. Suzy warned the goblin repeatedly before falling into a deep sleep. Late at night, a small figure was wearing white silk stockings, sneaking a probe into Suzy's room. Finding that Suzy wasn't awake, he was slightly relieved. Then he walked in gently, took off his clothes, and then slipped into the bed as smoothly as a loach. The small figure pressed its body close to Suzy's, turned its nose up slightly, and took a deep breath. Well, the master is still comfortable here. Then close your eyes and go to sleep. After half a sound, Suzy opened his eyes, and a trace of helplessness flashed in them. He glanced at the little fairy lying on his chest, sleeping soundly. Taking a deep breath, a scent of flowers spreads into the ears and nose, accompanied by a faint scent of milk. A hard slap on the goblin's ass. Snapped. There was a crisp sound. The last time, if you don't obey me next time, I will eat you. Suzy breathed softly into the little elf's pointed ear. After finishing speaking, he closed his eyes and fell asleep. The host is so nice. In sleep, the goblin whispered softly. Chapter 28. Morning, fifth wave, insect nest, flowers and evaluation tickets. The fifth day, early morning. Suzy opened his eyes expressionlessly. Master, it smells so good. A soft voice rang in my ear. Next second, the goblin's little mouth planted a strawberry on Suzy's neck. He reached out and pushed the goblin's head away. The little fairy still wanted to lean on Suzy. The mouth is slightly pursed, as if extremely reluctant. But it was stopped by Suzy. Suzy turned his head and saw the profile of the goblin. The little fairy in her sleep, with a hint of cuteness on her beautiful face, and a few wisps of blue hair hanging down her chest disobediently, with a faint temptation. Take out. Suzy rubbed his sore eyes. Although the Sixth Order Lord is fine if he doesn't sleep for a few days. But it is the best way to restore energy. It can't be like this next time. Suzy whispered in the little fairy's ear. Finished speaking. On her forehead, a dragonfly touched the water and kissed lightly. Suzy removed the goblin from her body. I got out of bed and took a cold shower, which cheered me up. Boom. There was a roar in the sky. The monster is coming. Suzy looked solemn, and looked up towards the direction of the steel city wall. And at this moment, the territory under his feet trembled, like an earthquake. But it's clearly not an earthquake. Suzy didn't hesitate any longer, soared into the air, and rushed to the steel city wall at high speed. The mist rolls. There was constant thunder in the sky, and a tree like lightning flashed from time to time. Suzy stood on the city wall. Surprisingly found. The distance between the mist and natural territory is constantly expanding. 10,000 meters, 20,000 meters, 30,000 meters, 80,000 meters. In just 1 minute, the distance between the two expanded by 80,000 meters. Suzy frowned, feeling something was wrong. Even if a Sixth Order monster appeared before, the fog did not recede. But now the fog has dissipated so much backwards. Boom. At this time, there was another violent vibration on the ground, and the shaking was so strong that even ordinary people could hardly stand in this place. Suzy soared into the air, staring ahead, his pupils constricted. Tens of thousands of meters ahead. There the earth is cracking and falling. It was like being split open from the middle. The booming sound kept coming. Half an hour later. The distance between the two sides has been separated by several thousand meters. Suzy didn't understand. What is the alien will doing today? But now that he has 800 P cannons, he is full of confidence and fearless. There is always a solution to a problem. Nothing more than yes. But it seems that this change does not know when. Master, I brought you some breakfast. At this moment, the goblin flew over with a bowl of porridge in his hand, and landed beside Suzy. Open your mouth. With a porcelain bowl in one hand and a small spoon in the other, the little goblin scooped up a spoonful of porridge and handed it to Suzy's mouth. A pair of big eyes looked at Suzy cutely. Suzy. No, I'll do it myself. Suzy shook his head and refused. Just kidding, what the hell is asking a girl to feed you? Okay, the little goblin handed over the small bowl with a downcast expression. Feeding the host failed. Suzy gave the little fairy a white look, and poured the sweet porridge into his mouth. Master, here it is. As soon as the small bowl was put down, the little fairy handed over the tissue. Suzy was surprised. Why is the little elf so sensible today? Thanks. Then the master should reward the little elf. The goblin stared at Suzy, licked her bright red lower lip with her dexterous little tongue and said, "Oh, what reward do you want?" Suzy smiled slightly and asked a little funny. The goblins know that they want to be rewarded. Just like in the morning. The goblin pointed to Suzy's mouth and then to his forehead. Suzy staggered and stared at the little elf with wide eyes. "When did you wake up?" The little goblin blinked her pure eyes, thought for a while and said softly, "When the master kisses me." In fact, she really wanted to tell the master. She didn't sleep last night. But worried that the master would be shy, he didn't say anything. Suzy secretly breathed a sigh of relief, and the little goblin didn't look like he could lie. This statement is believable. Okay, come here a little bit. Suzy looked the little fairy up and down. The goblin is wearing a maid outfit today, with white silk drawn yesterday on her legs. She looks like a maid from an anime. The corner of the goblin's mouth turned up slightly, and she slowly approached Suzy's body, closing her eyes, with an expectant expression on her face. Snapped. Suzy stretched out his hand and flicked the little fairy's forehead. Thought beautiful. Ah. The little goblin squatted on the ground, covered her forehead with her hands, and looked at Suzy with an aggrieved expression. Suzy also wanted to comfort her. But at this moment, at the cliffs of the sky, a huge oval, black nest-like thing hundreds of meters slowly flew out from under the cliff. It was as black as ink, like a nest, with a chaotic appearance, without the slightest sense of beauty. However, the moment Suzy saw the building, his pupils constricted, and the smile on his face disappeared. "Master, what is that?" Seeing Suzy's seriousness, the little fairy asked in a low voice. "Insect nest." Suzy spit out 2 words slowly. Chapter 29. Zerg, Zerg Empress and Evaluation Votes. Zerg, the Empress Dowager in the clan, is in the highest 10 digits. One of the overlord races in the cosmic sea. The rise time was even countless years earlier than that of the human race, dominating the universe. Zerg is an extremely terrifying race. Every Zerg queen relies on the nest. Absorb all the genes of life in the universe and transform into Zerg arms. Suck all natural substances and evolve into Zerg wings, armor, and teeth. Wherever he goes, he swallows and eats everything. It can be said that wherever the Zerg race comes, the sky must be 3 feet high and the horizon 5 li. Every time an expedition is made, hundreds of millions of soldiers and insects must charge into the battle and wipe out all enemies. Among the same level, there are very few existences that can match it. Known as one of the natural disaster races. All the heavens and all races almost changed color upon hearing the Zerg race. Even the territory of the blue star human race. When creating, they all refer to the Zerg talent, which shows how abnormal the Zerg is. Suzy frowned. I don't know why the alien will let the Zerg in. Could it be that they want to use the Zerg to restrain the newcomer Lord Trial of the Terran? Suzy couldn't help feeling amused. If the 2 races kill each other, this different world will probably be devoured to the brim. But no matter what, Suzy has already cheered up and is ready for battle. The genius of the cosmic human race is really terrifying. Far away, in the center of the huge black hive, a huge worm with 2 tentacles several meters long on its head was monitoring everything outside through the nest. When her eyes saw the tens of thousands of square meters of territory outside, a touch of human shock appeared on her huge face. Cosmic humans, different from the human race in the universe C. They have the talent territory created by the supreme interception of the universe rules. Every territory contains a ray of pure world origin. Every territory has endless potential. This is an extremely terrifying talent. Simply, the universe does not allow such a powerful talent, and the template given to the arms restricts the human race in the universe. But still powerful and terrifying. In just hundreds of millions of years, human races have been born one after another. Make all races in the universe tremble and fear. Relying on their territorial talent, the human race travels through the universe, the heavens and the world. Once you are targeted by the cosmic human race, you will definitely die. Not only will they slaughter all non-surrendering life, they even ate the whole world without even the soil left, and finally integrated the world into their territory. It is said that they are Zerg, the geese have plucked their hair, and the sky is 3 feet high. But the human race didn't even spare the soil. Although the Zerg race is ferocious, compared with the human race in the universe. It's like a big house in a small house. It is also for this reason that the human race in the universe is known as the first of the 4 natural disasters in the universe. And the human race is extremely shameless. Their ancestors were secretly attacked and kidnapped as Zerg Supreme. To be able to acquire territorial talent. Therefore, Terrans and Zergs have feuds. So this time she was sent to fight against the human race in the opposite universe. As long as you break through his territory, you can get rich rewards from within the clan and from other worlds. She herself is the 6th Order Insect Emperor, in the nest of insects bred. There are hundreds of thousands of 5th-tier arms, and millions of 5th-tier arms. But she is still very careful. Because the territory of the human race on the opposite side is really too big. Compared to, her hive is nothing short of a speck. Out of knowledge of the human race in the universe. The larger the territory, the stronger the strength. Therefore, the opposite is bound to be powerful and terrifying. So, she is extraordinarily cautious. She is waiting for the troops she sent out to find out information, and needs to find out the opponent's troops. So that as much as possible. Keep yourself safe. At this time, the 5th Order, Earth Shadow Bug King, under her command returned from spying. Your Majesty, the human lord on the opposite side is a plant-type unit that has no fighting power among the human race. The Queen Mother of the Zerg race was overjoyed when she heard the words, staring at the 5th Order insect soldiers and said, "Is this true?" The Earth Shadow Bug King nodded affirmatively. The core of his territory is a big tree. According to intelligence, it is the only unit of the human race that has no combat effectiveness for hundreds of millions of years. Heard that, the 2 huge tentacles of the Zerg Mother Queen kept jumping up and down excitedly. The Earth Shadow Worm King knew that the Empress had fallen into a state of extreme excitement at this time. The greater the beating range of the antennae of the Zerg Empress, the more violent the Empress's mood swings. At this time, if you express your love to the Queen Mother, maybe he could become the next face of the Empress. The Earth Shadow Worm King felt a little moved. The Queen Mother of the Zerg race said with a majestic expression, "Those sisters were greedy for life and fear of death, and handed over the lord with the largest territory in the whole world to me. Don't you just want to see me laugh?" But they never expected. The opposite turned out to be a plant department. This is probably the easiest task in this world. Quote. Well, it seems that the reason why the Starry Sky people on the opposite side can survive the 4 rounds of invasion. I'm afraid it depends on the legendary building. Quote. It's really hard to break, but it's not hopeless. Go, take my 7th tier battle armor, and the 7th tier sword. Today we are going to destroy a territory of human geniuses. Let those sisters see, what is the demeanor that the Zerg Tianzhao should have. Quote. Yes, the Earth Shadow Worm King responded loudly. The Queen Mother is so happy. The possibility of him becoming the next face leader has greatly increased. Soon, the Zerg Queen flew out of the lair. She is tens of meters long, and her plump, oily body is covered with a layer of green carapace, wrapping the Zerg Queen tightly. 2 slender tentacles wrapped around a sharp steel bone sword full of evil spirit-like arms. This knife was made by her slaughtering several planets and sacrificed hundreds of millions of lives. Incomparably powerful. Thereafter, hundreds of thousands of 5th-tier soldiers and insects armed to the teeth are waiting in formation. Below it are millions of Zerg arms below the 5th level. For a while, the huge momentum broke through the sky. Millions of soldiers and insects directly covered the sky. Darkness is pressing towards natural territory, like black clouds pressing down on a city. Boundless terror, even separated by tens of thousands of meters. You can still clearly feel their terrifying power. Chapter 30. The Power of the P Cannon, the Terrified Zerg Empress, and Evaluation Votes. The Zerg is indeed terrifying, and it deserves to be called the 4th natural disaster. Suzy looked solemn. In the distant sky, the Zerg army, which covered half of the sky like a dark cloud, followed behind the aggressive Empress. Seeing this scene, Suzy was puzzled. Isn't it rumored that the Mother Queen of Zerg is the most afraid of death? The general Zerg invasions all use the endless Zerg soldiers as a means of attack. Zerg Mother Emperors rarely make moves, they are extremely timid. Once the arms are defeated, they will flee immediately. Never give the enemy a chance to kill them. But this Zerg Empress seems to be a bit hot-blooded. The momentum is like a rainbow, and the fighting spirit is overwhelming. It seems like a fight to the death with Suzy. Suzy is ready to fight, and decides to treat the Zerg Mother Emperor as an enemy. Ready to fight. Suzy gave the order. Waiting for the Zerg to enter the attack range, they were greeted by cannons washing their faces. Toot! Each of the P cannons had a cold light flashing in their eyes, and a faint blood-red color appeared in their eyes. In an instant, all Ps entered war mode. Adjust the angle of the huge muzzle to aim at the countless approaching Zerg. Master, what is that? The little goblin trembled and pointed at the flying enemy with some fear. She felt a tremor in her soul and was terrified in her heart. It caused the body to tremble slightly. Some bugs, it's okay, don't be afraid, I will protect you. Seeing the fear in her eyes, Susie felt a little distressed, took her little hand, held her in his arms, patted her little head, and comforted her gently. For the little goblin to be so afraid, Susie had some guesses in his mind. Plants are naturally afraid of bugs. Okay. The little goblin hid in Susie's arms, smelling the breath on Susie's body. The trembling of his body gradually subsided. With her arms around the goblin's waist, Susie looked at the Zerg queen. After the Zergs reach the attack range, 100 cannons are sent out to aim at the Zerg mother queen and use neutron bombs. Susie gave the order with a calm face. His tenderness is only towards his own people, and towards others, Susie has that cold handsome guy. He has never shown mercy to his enemies. In the sky, the Lord's territory is gradually approaching, and the Zerg mother can already see the human lord on the city wall by sight. Naturally, she also saw the green cannon barrels. The rapidly flying wings paused slightly, feeling puzzled. What is that? Plant? The tentacles on the Zerg queen's head swayed up and down, feeling unsure. What kind of plant grows like this? There is a feeling of traditional cannon in human technology, that is, the muzzle is a bit big. But the Zerg queen is not afraid. For a muzzle of this size, even if she stood still and let the cannon bombard her, it would be difficult to hurt her at all. She is not only a 6th order powerhouse, she is at the peak of the mid-stage position, and is about to rise to the 7th order top powerhouse. He even wears a suit. She spent countless efforts to build the 7th tier battle armor. Strong defensive power comes from the 8th order powerhouse. Can resist for a while. Charge. Did not perceive the crisis. The Zerg Empress no longer hesitated. Decide to make a quick decision, or change later. All Zergs speed up immediately. Attack. A wave of neutron bombs first, and give them a greeting gift. The moment the Zerg reached the attack range, Susie immediately gave the order. Heard that. The eyes of all the giant cannons glow red, and the bright light gathers at the muzzle, which is the great charge of the cannons. There was a fierce and fiery breath exuding from his whole body, like a devil about to be released from the cage, which made people tremble. No, it's dangerous. Almost at the moment when the giant cannon was charged, the 2 antennae of the Zerg Empress suddenly shook violently. The sense organs at the top send out unprecedented prompts. It seems that, going one step further, to meet her will be death. Almost in the blink of an eye, the Zerg Empress responded. The green carapace covering the whole body. In an instant, it emits a faint green glow, forming a solid barrier outside the body. Simultaneously, with a thought in her mind, dozens of sets of various defensive equipment, armor, and protective shields were put on her body layer by layer. Not only that, while doing these actions, the strength of the top-level 6th order on her body exploded, and she ran back desperately. The unprecedented crisis made her tremble all over. It was hundreds of years since she was born. Do your best for the first time. The Queen Mother's sudden retreat. It caused the surrounding 5th order Zerg to look sideways. I don't understand why Her Majesty the Queen suddenly turned around. The Earth Shadow King Worm, who had been guarding the Queen all this time, turned to look at the running figure of the Queen, with a hint of doubt in his eyes. I was about to go out and ask. But before he turned around, a white light ball fell in front of him. What is this? Doubts flashed in the mind of the Earth Shadow King Worm. Pity. The next moment, he lost consciousness. Hundreds of neutron bombs fell on the Zerg army. In an instant, it was like hundreds of little suns bursting in the sky. Boom, 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 one after another, the neutron bombs emitted dazzling light, showing their fiery brilliance to the whole world. In an instant, everything within a radius of tens of thousands of meters was swallowed up. The mother queen of the Zerg race who was running desperately felt a burst of heat behind her. Too late to turn back. The dazzling light engulfed it. Steel walls. Dazzling light penetrated the barrier and pierced the territory. Susie stretched out his arms to wrap around the little fairy's slender waist, and silently closed his eyes. Chapter 31. The terrified Zerg Empress, asking for flowers and evaluation votes. 5 minutes later, the light dissipated. City wall. Suzy let go of the little fairy's slender waist and looked out of the city. On tens of thousands of square meters of open space. Zerg corpses 5 to 6 meters long and 7 to 8 meters long piled up into mountains, covering the entire space. Ingeniously, all the Zerg corpses died peacefully without any damage on the surface. Master, how did these Zerg die? There doesn't seem to be any damage on their bodies. The little goblin also saw the pile of corpses. Her beautiful eyes showed surprise. Those Zerg races seemed to have their souls wiped out in an instant. The body becomes an empty shell. This is a neutron bomb, which kills all life from the dimension of the soul, but does not damage the body and buildings. Suzy said in a deep tone. He also didn't expect that the power of the neutron bomb was so terrifying. If it is not protected by the screen, even if they are separated by tens of thousands of meters, they will still be attacked by a powerful stream of particles. Unlike the neutron bombs on Earth in previous lives, the neutron bombs fired by his Unit P cannon are completely composed of energy. How many times stronger is the power than matter? This also caused that the power of an energy bomb weighing only 37 tons is not inferior to that of the previous 100-ton neutron bomb. However, Suzy glanced around again. Something was wrong. Master, is there something wrong? Seeing Suzy frown, the goblin couldn't help asking. I didn't see the body of the Zerg queen. Suzy explained softly. The goblin heard what Suzy said and read it again. Indeed, then the Zerg Empress is still alive. Well, there is a high probability that I ran back. Suzy smiled and said, not too concerned in his eyes. The trial time is limited by rules. After 1 day, it will be counted as a failure. He can afford to wait, but the other side may not necessarily be able to. In the nest, the Zerg Empress collapsed weakly on the throne, staring at a screen in front of her. It was Suzy and the goblin on the screen, seeing the two talking and laughing. The eyes of the Zerg Empress were full of killing intent and hatred. But in the depths of the eyes, there is a deep fear. Think back to the scene where you almost died just now. The Zerg Queen still had some lingering fears. That horrible attack. Just a second, broke through several of her defenses. If it didn't happen that among the defenses she sacrificed, there was one that protected the soul. I'm afraid she has died outside. What the hell is that? Plants. FK plants. Recalling the information about the Earth Shadow King worm. The Zerg Mother Queen wished she could swallow him alive. Recalling the things on the city wall that look like human machine system cannons. Could it be that? Is that the new mechanical type of the human race? Zerg Mother Queen suspects. Only the lord of the mechanical system of the human race can have such a large-scale, terrifying battlefield dominance. But, whether it is mechanical or not, the Mother Queen of the Zerg found that she seemed to be unable to defeat the lord. Forcibly rushing up, it is completely death. What to do? Empress Dowager's two antennae jumped up and down wildly. Her brain, which was as big as a person's, turned rapidly. I want her to continue attacking the human territory. Of course she didn't want to. Looking at the soldiers and insects in his nest. Only a small number of 5th level and low-level soldiers and insects were able to escape when they were on the verge of explosion. The accumulation of hundreds of years is now destroyed. But given enough resources, she can recover quickly. But if he continues to be an enemy of that human lord, then she is almost certain to die. So, shaking people, I can't do it alone, so I'll call more sisters. Soon, the Zerg Mother Queen thought of a way. After all, worms are more powerful. Why is she the only one facing this terrifying human lord? Good sister, it's hard to carry it together. Thinking of this, the Zerg Empress became more and more convinced that it was feasible. So without hesitation, I sent a group chat video to a few sisters. Not only the human race has technology, in fact, all races also have their own technology tree. It's just that the level of development and the direction of development are different. Before the video is connected, the Mother Queen of the Zerg race covered up the injuries on her body, and restored the proud appearance of the Zerg race's pride. Alice, why are you sending the video now? On a battlefield where countless creatures were fighting, a beetle-type Zerg Empress connected to the video in doubt. Yeah, couldn't it be that he was disabled? Another video was connected, and a centipede-like Zerg mother said mockingly. Quickly tell me, I'm busy. There's a human lord of the elves here, and his strength is not bad. I have dispatched 1/3 of the troops, and I can still hold on. The third video was connected, and a Zerg Empress who was similar to Alice said easily. Watching the video, the leisurely sisters one by one, think about yourself again. Alice was silent for a moment and said, "Sisters, I found a treasure, do you want it? If so, I will let you develop it with me." "Oh, Alice, when did you become so kind?" The Zerg queen, who resembled a centipede, sneered. Zerg are extremely selfish people, how could they give good things to others? The other two Zerg empresses didn't believe it either. "I know you don't believe it, just look." With that said, Alice sent them the video about Susie's territory. FK, why is his territory so big? According to the human race, this is the 5th day of the trial. The area of the Lord on my side is not even 1/10, no, less than 1%. Another Zerg empress came in and exclaimed when she saw the video. Yes, his territory is too large. A Zerg empress trembled in her eyes. Obviously, this area was beyond the reach of ordinary territories. Didn't you find out that his unit is the plant department? Alice reminded. Only then did all the Zerg queens notice the looming big tree in the video. Although I can't see exactly what it is. But they clearly distinguish. This is a plant lord. Isn't a plant lord who doesn't attack a great treasure. Chapter 32. Calling people, the 5th wave of invasion that came to an abrupt end. And evaluation votes. If it wasn't for the human lord who owns a legendary defensive building, how could I ask you for help? Alice acted like I was being forced to do nothing, and you meant to make a lot of money. After hearing the words, many Zerg mother emperors showed a hint of greed in their eyes. They can't really believe Alice's words. But that is the lord of the plant department, and the territory of tens of thousands of square meters is a real benefit. If this lord is taken down, then the rewards they got are shocking enough. Compared to the territory that is currently conquered, it is no less than a feast. How do you want to come? If you don't come, I will find someone else. Alice said casually, giving them a sense of crisis. After hearing the words, many Zerg mother emperors were moved. Count me in. Count me in too. I'm coming too. Looking at the sisters who actively signed up. The Zerg empress smiled, showing a mouthful of sharp teeth. Then he looked at Susie on the city wall, the tentacles on his head beating wildly. As far as she knows, the attack of the mechanical lord also has a limit. Not endless. As long as it is continuously consumed, it is enough to consume him to death. But this process always requires some sacrifices. At this moment, suddenly a communication request was sent. After Alice saw the incoming call, she instantly regained her senses. Because the caller was one of the highest highnesses of the Zerg race, a top powerhouse whose strength had reached the peak of the 7th rank. "Your Highness Emma," Alice respectfully said. In the Zerg race, there is an extremely strict concept of superiors and subordinates, and no overstepping is allowed. I heard that you are calling people to help you attack a plant lord. Empress Emma's voice came from the opposite side. Yes, Alice nodded, a little surprised that His Highness would suddenly be interested in this. How is his strength? Very strong. Hearing this, a trace of cold sweat appeared on Alice's head. Very, very strong. My 5th-tier units didn't even survive a round of attack. Alice answered truthfully. Her Highness who has a higher authority can know the information here. She has no need to lie. Oh, the combat power of the arms is very strong, maybe it really is. On the opposite side, Queen Emma said, with an inexplicable light in her eyes. Alice was clueless. Pull off the attack. Tomorrow, we just need to send some bug soldiers to harass and keep all the attacks on the 7th day. Emma gave the order directly. Although Alice was puzzled, she did not dare to disobey Emma's order, and immediately agreed. After hanging up the call, Emma sat in the empty insect nest with a hint of madness in her eyes. It's another lord of the plant department with combat power. I was the first to meet the once-in-a-million-year plant department. Emma was trembling with excitement. Her 100-meter-long body trembled from time to time. Zerg has records. Every tens of millions of years, a top plant lord will appear in the human race. Not only is the territory dozens of times larger than other lords, but even the territory upgrades very quickly. And the reason for this? It is because the core of their territories are all the top spiritual creatures in the universe comparable to the tree of life of the elves. That's not the point. The key is, thousands of years ago, one of her ancestors devoured the Lord. Obtained the essence of the spiritual thing. At that time, she was at the 9th level, and she jumped into the realm of the gods. And at a speed never seen by the Zerg. Rush into the middle god, the upper god. The momentum is fierce, powerful and terrifying. For other races, the plant type with top combat power is like a great tonic. For becoming a god, for gaining endless potential, for her future. She must swallow him like that ancestor. Now, her strength is already at the peak of the 7th level, and she originally wanted to wait until the world melted before she could be promoted to the 8th level. But now that there is a plant lord, then there is no room for any mistakes. 8th order. Enough to crush everything. Comma. The battle is over. Start settlement. Suddenly, Suzy, who was still waiting for the next wave of attack by the Zerg, suddenly heard a reminder next to his ear. Suzy, why did it end so suddenly? The Zerg queen is not dead yet. The ending was caught off guard, beyond Suzy's expectation. If the other lords knew what Suzy said, they might cry to death. Only the 5th round of trials. Then they met the 6th order Zerg Empress, which was a height enough for them to look up to. But Suzy was a little dissatisfied. He was a little unwilling not to kill the big boss of the Zerg Mother Queen. Comma. The 5th round of invasion is over. Start settlement. Comma. War settlement. Enemies. 1 million first-tier soldiers, 1 million second-tier soldiers, 1 million third-tier soldiers, 500,000 fourth-tier soldiers, and 300,000 fifth-tier soldiers. The result of the war. Big victory. Evaluation. SSS level. Reward. 7,000 source crystals, 700 source points. Comma. Due to 100 times the difficulty and 1,000 times the reward, recalculate. Comma. Evaluation. SSS plus. Reward. 3 million source crystals, 300,000 source points. Soldier token. 10,000 miles shifting talisman, Hall of Heroes, surrogate doll, affiliated contract. Comma. 3 million source crystals, 300,000 source points. I don't know if the territory can be raised to the 7th level. Suzy looked at the reward and felt that it was much less than before. Is it because I didn't kill the Worm Emperor? As long as she dares to appear next time, she must be killed. Suzy swore secretly in his heart. Chapter 33. Tier 5 Arms. Tianzhou contends for hegemony, seeking flowers and evaluation votes. Steel walls. The body of the Unit P cannon emits a faint fluorescence again. Obviously it is going to advance again. Although the Zerg Queen was not killed this time. But it killed millions of Zerg of all ranks, which also made the advancement of P cannon a matter of course. Suzy and the goblin watched all this silently. Suzy had a hunch that during this evolution and promotion to the 4th level, there won't be much difference in body shape. Soon, the light gradually fades away. As Suzy expected, it was still in the shape of a cannon. The caliber of the 800 cannons became larger again, and now they are 5 or 6 meters tall. The height of the cannon has also increased again, and it is 10 meters high by visual estimation. This height is not high among the 5th-tier arms. But 510-meter high cannons placed on the city gate brought a sense of security that was far unmatched by other arms. Suzy opened the cannon panel again to check the unit attributes. Name. P cannon. Race. Plant. Level. 48,0480ths. Physique. 15,000. Agility. 2,000. Spirit. 15,000. Skills. Annihilation bomb, cloud explosion bomb, thermobaric bomb, neutron bomb, absolute zero gun. Attack range, 20,000 meters. Rate of fire, 10s. Durability. Every 10 minutes of shelling, turn off the fire for 1 minute. Loyalty, 100% permanent. Introduction. Evolved from P Gunner, 4 kinds of bombs bring you the enjoyment of flying. The attributes have almost doubled, and there is an extra absolute zero gun in the skill. The power should not be weak. The attack range doubled again, from 10,000 meters to 20,000 meters. The attack speed has also doubled again, reaching 10s. This attack speed is simply too cool. Fire the shells like bullets. Suzy was overwhelmed with surprises. After entering the middle level, every evolution would bring a multiplied increase to the arms. However, you need to rest for 1 minute every 10 minutes in the future. Suzy nodded, not surprised. After all, although plant arms have stronger endurance, they are not dead. Compared to the units of those guys in the mechanical system, my P cannon uses the plant system to represent the powerful combat capabilities of the mechanical system. There is no need to worry about mechanical damage at all, and whether it is stamina or attack speed, compared to the same type of mechanical systems. My plants all have absolute advantages. Suzy nodded secretly, feeling more and more satisfied with P cannon. He once focused on analyzing the combat power data of each class in the mechanical department. At the 5th level, it is completely impossible to reach 10s. If the shells were fired at this attack speed, I'm afraid they wouldn't be able to last for a minute, and the entire unit would be scrapped. The little goblin looked up and looked at the 10-meter tall pea cannon, with a small cherry mouth long and round. Okay, so big. Compared to her height of 1.55, pea cannon is almost 10 times her height, no wonder she was so shocked. It will get bigger later. Susie rubbed the goblin's red hair and said with a smile. A hint of joy suddenly appeared on the little fairy's delicate and pretty face, like a kitten whose head has been rubbed by its owner. After upgrading the arms, Susie put all the source points into the territory upgrade according to the script. You consume 59,000 source crystals and 5,900 source points, and your territory has been upgraded to level 59. Sure enough, it's still a little short of the 7th step. Susie was not disappointed, as expected. Under the consumption of hundreds of times resources, in just 5 days, he was able to raise the territory to the top 6th level. This could almost be called a miracle. So Susie is not in a hurry. Compared with others, he has gone very fast. One step at a time, steadily and steadily. In the end, he climbed to the top and became a god, traveling across the universe. According to your plan, he has a unique talent. Destined to become the top group of people in the universe. See. Susie is very patient and stable. Whether it's 10 years, 100 years, or 1,000 years. He must become a god. No one can stop it. Letting out a breath, Susie's expression became more determined. Then he took out the reward hero recruitment order. I hope this time there will be a hero with strong individual combat power. Susie secretly prayed in his heart. Although the little fairy is very cute, she can only be used as an assistant in the back, or as a bed warmer. Now the 7-day trial is coming to an end. He is destined to participate in the Tianjiao contest. With such an advantage, how could he be willing to miss this great opportunity to harvest resources? A complete Zongqian world. The gods in the world were obliterated, leaving the natives of the original world below the god level to test the new lords. Not so much a trial. Rather, it is a chance for all the new lords to obtain huge resources and change their fate against the sky. Such opportunities are rare, even once in a lifetime. To enter the world of Zongqian again, there is only a slight possibility after becoming a god. Where is it like a trial? Everything in a huge world is left to be plundered. 100 times the consumption of resources, doomed Susie to embark on the road of no return to plunder. But Susie is so happy. So this Tianjiao trial. Susie must participate in it, and at the same time, he must compete for the top list. Genius. For Susie, it is nothing more than food for his growth. Shaking his head, Susie no longer thinks about it. Now he has a lot of firepower, but he also has shortcomings. For example, powerful individual combat arms. After the trial, the combat mode will no longer be this kind of offensive and defensive warfare, but a battle outside the territory. This requires extremely strong individual combat capabilities. The pea cannon obviously does not meet this. Chapter 34. Goodbye Supreme, 9-leaf swordgrass asking for flowers and evaluation tickets. Hero recruitment order. Quality. Legend. Function. Consume 100 source crystals to recruit a hero of the same type as the Lord. Introduction. Maybe the botanical department is also available. Recruit. Without hesitation, Susie took out 100 source crystals and incorporated them into the hero recruitment order. Next moment, hero recruitment order, a burst of golden light burst out, and at the same time began to spin violently in the air. I do not know how long it has been. A beam of light flew out from the hero recruitment order. And the token also turned into light spots in the air and dissipated. The beam falls. It turned into a half-meter high figure. Susie looked over. I saw a grass with 3 slender green leaves of 1 meter long, standing in clusters at the foot, swaying with the breeze from time to time. A plant of grass. Susie was stunned when he saw the appearance of the hero. Some surprises. Heard that. Seemingly conscious, the grass trembled a bit, and stretched out a blade of grass to wrap around Susie's calf. Pulled down. Seems dissatisfied with Susie's surprise. Sword grass. Race. Plant. Quality. Legend. Rating. 1/0/10. Constitution. 30. Dexterity. 20. Spirit. 50. Skills. Instant slash. Sword drawing. Loyalty. 100% permanent. Introduction. She is not an ordinary grass, but a grass with a dream and wants to be a swordsman. So please don't underestimate her. Hey, the attribute is so strong. Susie's eyes lit up when he saw the attributes of sword grass. Constitution, agility, spirit. Almost dozens of times that of ordinary first-order lives. Especially the spirit, which is outstanding, with attributes as high as 50, almost comparable to ordinary second-order or even third-order creatures. The goblin was a little curious about the sword grass, so she pulled its other blade of grass and started playing with it. As a result, I accidentally cut my finger by a sharp blade of grass. Ah! The little goblin let out a cry of surprise, and quickly put her fingers into her mouth, sucking gently. Susie was concerned. Are you all right? Fine. The little goblin shook her head like a rattle, and said, she took her finger out of her lips, pulled out a slimy white ribbon, and placed it in front of Susie's eyes. Look. Susie took a closer look, and found that the wound had indeed healed, without even a trace. Somewhat unexpectedly, he glanced at the little fairy. Is this healing power, or her saliva to heal damage? Susie doubted. If you have a chance, you can try it and let the little fairy help you lick it. Shusha. Little sword grass seemed to know that she had hurt the little fairy, stretched out a leaf, pulled her calf, and bent down the leaf, as if apologizing. It's okay, I was not careful. The little goblin shook her head, knelt down, and gently comforted the little sword grass. Susie looked at the blades of the little sword grass. On the edge of the blade, there seems to be a layer of sharp and gloomy light like a blade. It is indeed a sword grass, with branches and leaves like swords. I don't know what it will look like after alienation. Susie squatted down and reached out to grab a blade. Alienation. Talent activated. The body of the small leaf grass shone with colorful light, and all the leaves shrunk. Then it turned into a rotating cocoon of light, continuously shooting bright rays of light in the air. The light keeps expanding. In the end, it even covered the entire territory. Crack. It sounded like the sound of void breaking, and it gradually expanded. Boom. An extremely sharp sword energy rushed from the light cocoon to the sky. A boundless gigantic shadow appeared in the sky. The giant shadow is 9 feet high, shaped like a sword grass, rooted in the void, and 9 leaves long. Between waving, the galaxy is rewinding, and the stars are swaying. The light fades. The small cocoon shattered, and a small grass with upright blades the size of a palm appeared in front of the two of them. Susie was incomparably shocked. This kind of out-of-this-world vision is rare in the world. Just relying on the vision of heaven and earth just now. Susie then realized that this little grass. Extraordinary. With anticipation, click on the Properties panel. 9-leaf sword grass. Race. Plant. Quality. Supreme. Grade 1. Bloodline. 9-leaf sword grass. Talent. Practicing the sword becomes stronger. Constitution. 100. Agility. 300. Spirit. 500. Skills. Sword shadow, sword drawing, sword Jew. Loyalty. 100% permanent. Introduction. I am a grass that wants to be a swordsman, so please don't disturb me to practice swords, my lord. Supreme. When Susie saw the quality, his pupils constricted. The quality of World Tree is supreme. The quality of this 9-leaf sword grass is also top-notch. Susie was shocked in his heart. Although I don't know what level supreme is at the moment. But you can know just by looking at how perverted the World Tree is. Absolutely top-notch. And it was actually named after 9-leaf sword grass. Even if he traveled through time, he still remembered this name very clearly. The most mysterious ancient 10 evils, 9-leaf sword grass. Record. As a quasi-immortal king, he fought against 4 immortal kings. The combat power is in a mess. Look at the various attributes of 9-leaf sword grass. With the lowest level of level 1, each data breaks through 100. With 3 skills at the same time. There is even a talent practice the sword to become stronger. Susie felt that this sword grass was going against the sky. Master, can Xiao Cao be a swordsman? Suddenly, the goblin at the side asked Susie. Why do you ask that? Xiao Cao said her dream is to be a swordsman. So let me ask the Lord, can Xiao Cao be a swordsman? Chapter 35. Xiao Cao can naturally be a swordsman, back then. Seeking flowers and comments. Several question marks popped up on Susie's forehead. Can you hear her? Yes, I can communicate with any plant. Didn't I tell the master? The little goblin tilted her head in confusion. Susie tapped on her little head. You tell me. You didn't tell me such an important thing. It hurts so much. The little goblin let out a cry, covered her head with her hands, and looked at Susie pitifully. Susie rubbed her head again. Facing the 9-leaf sword grass, he said righteously. Of course Xiao Cao can be a swordsman. It is recorded in the ancient books of the human race. In ancient times, there was a 9-leaf sword grass. Quote, he is the top swordsman in the universe, terrifying all races in the universe. The sun, the moon and the stars can be chopped down with a wave of hands, which can be described as extremely tyrannical. Quote, as soon as the 9-leaf sword grass heard it, it immediately flew to Susie's shoulder, the leaves trembling with excitement. Stick it on Susie's cheek and rub it. Introduction. Really, Lord? Suddenly, a sentence appeared in front of Susie's eyes. Susie. Introduction. It's understood by you. Susie nodded. Of course. After finishing speaking, Susie obviously felt that Xiaoju was a little too excited. Introduction. Thank you, Lord. I will definitely practice my sword well, and in the future I will become a swordsman who can slash stars with one strike like my ancestors. Sir, I am going to practice sword. Go, go. Treat this as your own home. Susie waved his hand, looking at the back of Xiao Cao leaving. With emotion in my heart. There are still such hardworking heroes in the world. It's not easy. This is a grass with dreams. There is a new member in the family. Susie and Xiao Yao are very happy. After all, Susie's territory is too big. After all, the two of them seemed a bit too open. Arrange Xiaoju. Susie flipped his palm, and 3 special equipment appeared in Susie's hand. One is a yellow banner with various mysterious runes engraved on it. The second one is a small black rabbit doll with a scar. The last one is an ancient parchment. 10,000 miles migration talisman. Surrogate doll. Affiliated contract. Susie looked at the yellow banner, and a message appeared. 10,000 miles shifting talisman. Quality. Legend. Function. Immediately teleport to any place within a radius of 1 million miles. Number of uses. 3/3. Introduction. Maybe you will be teleported into the belly of a fish. The range of 1 million miles is indeed a life-saving thing. Susie carefully read the function of the 10,000 miles shifting talisman to make sure that he read it correctly. Immediately overjoyed. Outside, it's not without danger. On the contrary, in the outside world, the Lord will encounter many crises. Because whether it is in the world of trials, or in the cosmic sea, the Lords belong to the invading party, and were called extraterritorial demons, and so on by their local forces. In another world, it must be disliked by the will of the world. So in the different world, the Lord always has bad luck. There are even unlucky ones, whose dominion descend directly into a ferocious beast's lair, or fall into danger. At this time, it depends on the Lord's life-saving means. And 10,000 miles shifting talisman is undoubtedly the best among them. Random. It is both random to yourself and random to enemies. In this way, the enemy can't predict where it will move, so naturally it can't stop it in advance. Do not doubt. In front of the top powerhouse. Hundreds of thousands of miles are just a short distance away. However, the legendary 10,000 miles shifting talisman actually has 3 chances to use it. It was a bit of a surprise. Susie put it in the inventory, focused on marking, and then looked at the next equipment. Surrogate doll. Quality. Legend. Type. Rule-based equipment. Function. Avoid a mortal crisis. Number of uses. 3/3. Introduction. I can save you 3 times, but not the 4th time. Another life-saving item. Susie took the rabbit in his hand and shook the scarred rabbit in his hand. Put it directly on the left chest, and the scar rabbit stuck it directly. Now there are 2 life-saving equipment, and the survivability is greatly increased. Susie never dared to underestimate the natives of other worlds. Not to mention that he has not yet become a god. Even if he has become a god, he dare not act recklessly. Every year, Blue Star announces the number of newborn gods and dead gods. All in the millions. This is also why there are many lords who are willing to be planting lords in Blue Star for the rest of their lives. Exchange the initial units for magic crystals to maintain life. Cosmic Sea. It was never a playground. It is a paradise for the strong and a hell for the weak. Someone went out and picked up the artifact, the Godhead. Get rich overnight and ascend to the throne of God. Someone went out, shrouded in horse leather, died in a foreign land, and there were no bones left. So, items that can save lives are often sold at sky-high prices. Where can ordinary people have the opportunity to buy? That's why Susie got a little excited when he saw these 2 pieces of equipment. Finally, Susie took out the parchment. Subsidiary contract. Type. Rule department. Quality. Legend. Function. It can make the bound contractor become a lord's subordinate. Number of times. Unlimited. Introduction. After signing this contract, you are mine from now on. Subsidiary contract. Susie's eyes lit up. I was still having a headache about this thing. After all, this kind of thing is very rare. Wanting to find it is completely an act of chance. Subsidiary deed, as stated in the introduction. After binding, anyone who signs the contract on it will completely become the lord's subordinate. All rights and interests belong to the lord. This is the only way a lord can get dependent lands and dependent races. General subsidiary contracts have a quota limit. However, because Susie's subsidiary contract is legendary, there is no upper limit contract directly. Such a treasure is hard to find in the world. Chapter 36. The regular building Hall of Valor, the ignorant lords asking for flowers and evaluation tickets. Susie also bound it without hesitation. This kind of thing. The future plays a huge role. Turn around and put it away. Susie took out the only building that appeared this time. Hall of Valor. Type. Rule department. Quality. Legend. Rating. 1/0. Resurrection restriction. Tier 1. Function. Resurrection of heroes. Resurrection of troops. Introduction. No one knows which one will come first, accident or tomorrow, but with it, no longer worry about accidents. The Hall of Heroes can really be resurrected. Susie looked at the building in his hands, and a hint of shock flashed in his eyes. Hall of Valor. In Blue Star, it is called the Hall of Reincarnation, Hall of Life and Death. It is one of the buildings most wanted by countless lords. Without him, just because it can resurrect units and heroes. To know, every unit and hero is cultivated by the Lord with countless resources. Inside is the painstaking effort and emotion of the Lord. Every loss is enough to make the Lord feel heartache. And with buildings like Hall of Valor, after heroes and units die, they can be resurrected from the Hall of Valor at a certain cost. This is the top rule creation. So, everyone wants a building like the Hall of Valor. But there are too few such buildings, the probability of birth is terribly low, and the demand is too great. Even many middle gods don't necessarily have a resurrection-type building. And imagine how precious it is. Each one has a price but no market, and its value is immeasurable. But now, Susie has one in his hand. And it's still top-notch, legendary. There is no limit to the number of resurrections. If it is known by others, I am afraid that I will go crazy with jealousy. Go. Susie threw Hall of Valor forward. The small architectural model rose in the wind, and soon turned into a magnificent 10-meter-high palace. Just looking outside, I feel a kind of solemnity. Without hesitation, Susie spent a lot of source crystals to upgrade it to the 6th level. Look again, Hall of Valor. Rating. 59,0590. Resurrection restriction. Tier 6. In this way, as long as the level of heroes and units does not exceed level 6, they can be resurrected in the Hall of Valor. Susie breathed a sigh of relief at this moment. After all, the 2000 units in the territory all followed him at the beginning. Moreover, the little fairies in the territory are so cute, and now there is a hardworking little Jew. Seeing that the territory is getting better and better, Susie doesn't want to lose them someday in the future. Because the territory was not advanced this time, Susie did not upgrade the building. It's over, you can start opening the treasure chest. There was a smile on Susie's face. This time he didn't plan to finish it all at once. Instead, the two of them drove slowly. Little fairy, come and open the treasure chest. Susie greeted the little goblin who was watching Xiao Ju practice his sword. Come on, master. The little goblin lying on the city wall heard this, her eyes lit up, and she ran to Susie's side bouncing around. Outside the territory of the kobolds not far away. Guananshan was covered in blood, holding a bloody tier 3 saber in his hand. He stared intently at the hundreds of Zerg in the sky. Heart despair. Can I just be eliminated? Guananshan was very unwilling. He had persisted for 5 days. But there are too many Zergs appearing today. Even though his territory is already tier 3, there are more than 100 kobolds of tier 3 in the territory. But still far from their opponents. Why is it so difficult for the 5th level? Guananshan hated him greatly. After fighting, now there are only a dozen or so kobolds under his command, and all of them have been scared out of their wits. Even the orders of his lord no longer listened. He's pretty much in jeopardy. But at this moment, Squeak. A long howl came from the gray mist, and then those third-order Zerg in the sky flew back into the gray mist one after another. What happened? Guananshan was puzzled. At the same time, a voice sounded beside his ear. The war is over. Start settlement. Immediately, Guananshan fell into ecstasy. In the mist that Guananshan couldn't see, a 70 to 80 meter long Zerg Empress clearly watched Guananshan's ecstasy through a huge crystal. Cut. It's a boring thing. Let's prepare for the plant department. Tier 4 Dragon Collar. Qin Yi stared angrily at the Zerg in the sky who were constantly eating other sub-dragons. His eyes were full of unwillingness. Thousands of 4th order Zerg, even Yulong is far from being an opponent. Suddenly, all the Zerg suddenly dropped the Yulong and quickly flew into the mist. Qin Yi was slightly taken aback, not knowing what happened. Tier 4 Elf Collar. Withstand. Stone walls. In Qin Wanqing's cold eyes, she couldn't help but feel anxious at this moment. Outside the city, Zerg a few meters in size attacked the last line of defense with ferocious faces. But as the elves fell one by one, there was almost no hope in sight. Qin Wanqing's eyes were full of unwillingness. The walls of the city have been crumbled, and she has only one way left. Back. Before they finished speaking, thousands of Zerg suddenly turned around and flew towards the gray mist, disappearing without a trace. Xiao Wanqing, what's going on? Battle settlement. Campaign evaluation. S rank. Award. This scene happened in dozens of territories in the entire foreign world. Everyone didn't understand why the Zerg retreated suddenly. But 2 days later, at the end of the 7th day, they know. There is one person who can resist tens of millions of Zerg army with his own power. Chapter 37. The 18 Styles of Cutting Men. The Queen of Zerg comes gradually. Flowers and evaluation tickets asked. Natural color. In the evening, as the sun sets, the setting sun puts a touch of wine red on the white clouds. Watching pool. Master, come down and play together. The goblin was wearing a tight pink bikini with a swimming ring around her waist, swimming happily in the pool. A pair of small and exquisite jade feet, photographed from the air from time to time, aroused waves of waves. Like a cute little elf. Pure and cute to the extreme. Seeing Suzy walk out of Fan Lu, the little goblin stood up, swam to the edge of the pool, and waved her slender jade arms towards Suzy. Hearing this, Suzy stopped and looked at the little fairy. Suddenly, my mind faltered. Such a little fairy is really charming. There is a feeling of wanting to hold her in my arms and take care of her carefully. But at this time, Suzy's heart is not the kind of male desire, but pure appreciation. It's like admiring a peerless painting. The goblin in the pool saw Suzy stop and stare at her. The corners of the invisible mouth are slightly raised. Really, everything said in the book is correct. Men like to see girls showing off their bodies. Even the master is no exception. The little demon secretly rejoiced carefully. The book she spoke of. In fact, it is the cheat book, 18 Ways to Kill a Man, that was just opened from the treasure chest. 18 Styles of Cutting Men. Type. Cheats. Quality. Purple. Function. The method of beheading men in Class 18. Introduction. There is no man in the heart, but the natural God is used. After opening the treasure chest, she felt as if she had found a treasure. So taking advantage of Suzy not paying attention, she hid it quietly, and when Suzy went to finish the meal, she took the opportunity to learn it. Now the first style, bikini. The effect is beginning to show. You wash it slowly by yourself. I just finished eating and rested. Suzy shook his head, worried that he would make a mistake while washing. There are only 2 days left until the end of the assessment. Suzy has no idea about this for now. The goblin is a piece of meat in his bowl, and sooner or later it will be his. Oh, hearing this, the little goblin looked a little disappointed and felt a little puzzled. What happened? Didn't the book say that men are all LSPs? Next, the owner should rush over impatiently. Then give her a hug and hold her high. Why is the master so indifferent? The goblin was puzzled. After Suzy left, the ring flashed in the little fairy's hand, and a booklet similar to a lace magazine appeared in her hand. If the first method doesn't work, then try the second method. The goblin will never give up easily, and quickly turned to the second page. Second form of cutting men, playing hard to get. Keep a certain distance from men, and let men worry about your gains and losses. The little goblin mumbled word by word, and suddenly came to her senses. Does this mean that I am not allowed to post with the master? Broken book. The little goblin threw the book far away angrily. If she doesn't stick with her master, she would rather die. So it is right to attack the master at night. Snapped. A book fell at Susie's feet. Susie, how could books drop from the sky? With a wave of Susie's hand, the book on the ground was in his left hand. 18 Ways to Cut a Man. Susie's face darkened immediately after reading the contents inside. What a piece of crap. Teaching bad children. With a slight force in the hand, the cheat book was directly turned into ashes. What if the little goblin can learn it? This kind of thing must not be seen by the little goblin. At the same time, natural color in the gray mist outside. Insect nests with a size of hundreds of meters and thousands of meters descended quietly, suspended in midair. Alice, let me tell you why you are so kind. It turns out that you were beaten and disabled. In the hive of Alice Zerg Queen, the first digital empresses gathered together. HMPH, if it were you guys, it wouldn't be much better, maybe not as good as me. Alice retorted, feeling her face flushed, and her slender antennae trembling. Originally wanted to cover up the facts, but was exposed by His Highness. TCH, it's not because of you, a human race almost wiped you out. You are too useless. Another Zerg Empress sarcastically mercilessly said. Hearing this, several other Zerg Empresses burst out laughing. Obviously he doesn't care about the human lord. It's not that they despise the human lord. There is no doubt about the strength of the human race who can kill Alice, the old enemy, with one blow. But, this time the lord of the human race will no longer face a 6th level Empress Alice. Under the organization of His Highness. Among the Zerg who came to another world this time. Almost a full third of them are about to come here. That is to say, that human race needs to face hundreds of Zerg Empresses of the same level as Alice. This huge force, even a small world, is enough to push horizontally. Not to mention a small human lord. Even more deadly, from the order issued by His Highness. It seems that there is a faint intention to make a move. That is the real 7th order top, about to enter the 8th order existence. With that one shot, there must be nothing wrong. In human terms, it's Tien Hu game, it's a win. Alice sat in the main seat, silent and looked at each other coldly. I sneered at them in my heart. Laugh. My dear sisters, when you actually meet him, you will realize what despair is. 6th order, no threat at all to that one, just a bunch of numbers. Although she doesn't know, why is His Highness suddenly interested in this human lord? But no, these 6 ranks, it's just cannon fodder to test the strength of the lord, in order to consume the power of the lord. Those who really want to make a move, it is His Highness. These stupid bugs, stupid. And that Highness obviously didn't tell them the truth. Time is like water. The 6th day came quietly. Susie's voice before leaving echoed in the air. Giggle. The goblin sat on Susie's seat, propped her chin with her jade hand, and let out a giggle laugh. Chapter 39. There is a long way to come to Japan. Xiaoju, who applied to play, asking for flowers and evaluation tickets. Steel-supported city wall. Susie was dressed in white, standing in the void, with his hands behind his back, his eyes indifferent to the front. The breeze came, blowing the white clothes and whistling. Looking from a distance, people can't help but sigh with emotion. What a handsome and good son in troubled times. Staring at the gray mist. Have to say, evolving into a 2nd order goblin gave Susie an unusual experience. As the saying goes, cute is worthless in front of sexy. Susie thought it was exaggerated before. After all, cuteness represents justice. But now I am absolutely sure that this sentence is correct. Cute is nothing compared to sexy. Sexy is bigger than the sky. However, the current little goblin really makes people angry. Susie smiled wryly in his heart. If we talk about the little fairy before, there is still a hint of greenness, like an unripe apple. Then the current goblin is like a ripe peach, with plenty of flesh and water. Not only is the body hot, but the personality seems to be more charming. Susie is not a saint, just a normal man. Love between men and women. It's just human nature. If it weren't for the thunder in the sky. I'm afraid he has executed the little goblin on the spot. Hold on for 2 more days. After the assessment period, there will be plenty of time. The days to come will be long, and the days to come will be long. Taking a deep breath and chanting a few words, the evil fire in my heart slowly subsided. At this moment, in the distant mist, there were bursts of noisy humming. Susie cheered up immediately. In the sky, an overwhelming dark cloud flew out of the sky, covering the sky and the sun. Today's attack is still Zerg. Suzy looked over and found that there were no dark clouds there, but insects as small as fingers and the size of palms. These insects are of various colors, innumerable, and ugly in appearance. Even just looking at it makes me feel numb all over. It seems that unknown changes have taken place in this trial. Otherwise, there should be no Zerg here. Suzy frowned slightly, glanced slightly, and used identification. Blood-sucking worm. Race. Zerg. Quality. Green. Level. 6. Constitution. 15. Agility. 17. Spirit. 12. Skills. Blood-sucking. Berserk temporary. Introduction. A blood-sucking bug that can penetrate into the skin of creatures, be careful not to be touched by it. Green beetle. Race. Zerg. Quality. Green. Grade. 11. Constitution. 16. Agility. 21. Spirit. 17. Skills. Bite. Berserk temporary. Introduction. A bug that is good at using sharp teeth. Its sharp teeth are enough to bite a giant tree. Heterogeneous corpse beetle. Race. Zerg. Quality. Blue. Grade. 7. Constitution. 12. Agility. 14. Spirit. 15. Skills. Putrid. Berserk temporary. Introduction. The worms from the cemetery have been specially modified to make the acid highly corrosive. As far as the eye can see, I don't know how many kinds of insects there are. But without exception, the levels of these bugs are quite low, almost all of them are first level or second level. It doesn't match the attack strength of the 6th wave at all. But Suzy is too lazy to think too much. That is the enemy. It's gone. Raising the arm, it is necessary to destroy the insect directly after it enters the attack range. Finally, Suzy's hand was about to drop after the countless Zerg army entered the attack range. On the 5th day, all the arms of Suzy have been turned into forts. That is to say, today, Suzy has 800 Tier 5 cannons and 1,200 Tier 4 cannons in his hands. 2,000 cannons, guard in all directions. In addition to 4 defensive buildings that have already been upgraded to the 6th level. Each one is an absolute battlefield killer. Once sacrificed, it is like a giant cannon. An existence capable of wanton slaughter. Plus the world asylum of the last world tree. Suzy's territory can be said to be impenetrable. Want to break, it's just as difficult as climbing the sky. But to deal with these little bugs, there is no need to use neutron bombs. Suzy nodded. Hitting bugs with neutron bombs is somewhat extravagant. Destroyer bomb, cloud explosion bomb, thermobaric bomb. 3 types of shells are enough to deal with these bugs. Just when Suzy was about to give an order, suddenly a piece of green grass flew in front of Suzy, wrapping his hand gently. At the same time, a message appeared in Suzy's eyes. Introduction. Sir, please leave them to me to deal with. I want to exercise myself. Are you here to solve it? Suzy was taken aback when he heard this, but then he was a little worried. Although the Zerg level is low, but the number is large enough to scare the average lord. Xiaoju was only born for 1 day, is it really okay? But looking at Xiaoju's appearance, it seems that he really wants to go. Yes, but if you can't resist, you must come back quickly. Suzy commanded. Although there is Hall of Valor in the territory now, Suzy doesn't want to see Xiaoju die outside. Introduction. Okay, please rest assured, my lord, I swear in the name of the swordsman. After finishing speaking, Xiaoju's only blade bent slightly towards Suzy, as if bowing to Suzy. Then, with a dodge, Xiaoju was already running towards the overwhelming Zerg in the distant sky. What? Suzy looked at Xiaoju's back, and suddenly found that Xiaoju seemed to have grown a little bigger. Use identify on it, 9-leaf sword grass. Race, plant, quality, supreme, level, 10, bloodline, 9-leaf sword grass. Talent, practicing the sword becomes stronger. Constitution, 400. Agility, 600. Spirit, 800. Skills, sword shadow, sword drawing, sword ju, cross cut. Loyalty, 100% permanent. Introduction. A small grass with the goal of cutting the stars with a sword. In just 1 night, I have cultivated to level 10, reaching the peak of the 1st level, and the various statistics have increased by hundreds. Also, it seems that there is an extra skill, cross slash. Suzy looked a little surprised when he saw Xiaoju's level. But thinking of Xiaoju's supreme quality comparable to World Tree, these seemed to be less exaggerated. Suddenly, Suzy knew that Xiaoju was not really taking risks, but had a background. Maybe, Can Xiaoju really kill those hundreds of thousands of insects? Suzy thought of this possibility. Some expectations. And in the depths of the gray mist, hundreds of descended Zerg empresses are also gathering together. Huge eyes, staring at the territory in the crystal. They want to test the strength of the human lord. He even wanted to find out the weakness of the human lord. What is that? A Zerg empress saw something flying out of the territory. The crystal instantly magnifies the picture. A piece of grass. Chapter 40. The crazy Xiaoju asking for flowers and comments. A piece of grass. After seeing it clearly, the hundreds of Zerg empresses present were all surprised. Does the Lord intend to rely on a blade of grass against the first wave of hundreds of thousands of Zerg army? As soon as this idea came into being, it was rejected by them. How is this possible? All the Zerg empresses couldn't help shaking their heads. They felt that the human lord was joking with them. Even Alice, who had dealt with Suzy before, had a trace of doubt in her eyes. Could it be that yesterday he killed my Zerg too quickly, thinking that the Zerg was not strong enough? So let your guard down today. Alice was suspicious, but said nothing. Avoid being slapped in the face by the plant lord. After all, the lesson from yesterday is still vivid in my memory. A stalk of grass faces hundreds of thousands of troops of the same rank. Who can win? The answer seems to have no suspense. Hundreds of Zerg empresses stared at the picture in the crystal. They want to see the pearl grass torn to shreds by the terrifying Zerg. I don't know if the human lord will feel distressed and regretful. I guess in less than a second, the grass will be torn to shreds. A Zerg empress jokingly said. As he spoke, he sent a signal to the hundreds of thousands of Zerg to tear up the grass. Countless Zerg rushed towards Xiaoju at an accelerated speed. But Xiaoju did not retreat but advanced, and his speed doubled. Such a scene made Suzy, who was watching, nod secretly. Xiaoju has the potential to become a top swordsman. The human race has a history of hundreds of millions of years, and naturally there are not a few swordsmen. Every swordsman has an extremely pure idea and has the courage to sacrifice everything for the sword. And Xiaoju's idea of wanting to become a swordsman is very pure. Practicing swords almost all the time. Suzy saw it last night. Under the moonlight, a stalk of grass kept waving its body, and it was hard to forget that scene once seen. Get up in the morning. Suzy can still see Xiaoju standing under the world tree meticulously waving the sword. Is that grass stupid? When a Zerg empress saw the grass in the picture, instead of retreating, she moved forward instead, which was a little surprised. If I didn't see that it is still a first-order strength, I almost believed that she could do it. A Zerg empress smiled and said, the strength of the first level is enough to exhaust her to death. Then let's see. At this moment, Xiaoju and the Zerg army officially came into contact. For a moment, Xiaoju was submerged in the ocean by the boundless turbulent Zerg. Xiaoju will be okay. The little fairy stood beside Suzy at some point. Seeing Xiaoju being swallowed by the swarm, a trace of worry flashed in his eyes. Although Xiaoju was only born a day ago, she likes this resolute little grass very much. It's okay, don't worry. Suzy patted her fragrant shoulder and comforted her. With the Hall of Valor, at least Xiaoju will not die. Time passed bit by bit. More and more Zerg rushed forward, almost piled up into a mountain. Hard to imagine. How does a blade of grass survive in it? Oh, it's just a grass. I also want to fight against hundreds of thousands of troops. How is it possible? A Zerg empress shook her head with a hint of ridicule in her words. Sudden. As soon as she finished speaking, a sword light suddenly cut out from the Zerg siege. Together, 2-way, 3 ways, countless sword lights cut through the space, as if breaking through the blockade, cutting out from the siege of the Zerg. All Zerg races affected by the sword light instantly turned into fly ash. At the same time, a green figure rose from the insect swarm to a higher sky. It's Xiaoju. The goblin was pleasantly surprised. Okay, Suzy naturally also saw that figure. And Xiaoju seems to have evolved. 9-leaf sword grass. Race, plant, quality, supreme, level, 15, bloodline, 9-leaf sword grass. Talent, practicing the sword becomes stronger. Constitution, 1400. Agility, 1600. Spirit, 1800. Skills, sword shadow, sword drawing, sword ju, crosscut, continuous cut. Loyalty, 100% permanent. Introduction, kill, kill, kill. Level 2. She has already reached level 15. All attributes have increased by 1,000. Suzy was a little surprised. In less than an hour, Xiaoju broke through from level 10 to level 2. Suzy is proud of Xiaoju. Now look at Xiaoju's appearance again. Instead of a leaf, another leaf grows. 2 blades sharper than a sword. Waving continuously above the 9 heavens. Every time you swing it, you will shoot a sword light several meters long. Cut to the sword light frantically rushing towards her. How is this possible? In the Zerg base, the queen mothers of the Zerg were shocked by the scene in the crystal one by one. Unexpectedly, that little grass actually rushed out of the encirclement of the Zerg. And it seems to have evolved to the 2nd level. The strength has almost doubled. I don't believe she can last forever. The mother queen of Zerg said coldly, looking at the grass in the crystal with cold eyes. Obviously she was slapped in the face just now. Go, don't worry about the territory of the human race, go and tear up this grass. Immediately, the Zerg Empress gave an order. For a moment, more Zerg swarmed up. Xiaoju was submerged in the sea of insects again. But everyone can see those continuous sword lights. It can always cut through the sea of insects and crush a batch of insects. Through the sea of insects and crush a batch of insects. Through the sea